engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo.
Hello? Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. You're very welcome to the start of another week. And here's a man with a cap on his head. Isn't it lovely? Ah, yes. Brilliant. Let's see you find the friggin' grey bit now. Look, I hope you're all keeping terribly well. Tonight we start a brand new Monday night adventure. This one called From the Earth to the Moon. It's a 7-part journey through one of the most extraordinary chapters in human history. This is the story how we went from the early experimental rockets landing on the moon, and how the journey continues to this very day. Across the series, we're going to explore the key moments, the places and the people that made spaceflight possible. Beginning in the origins of rocketry in the deserts here in Kazakhstan, where we trace the path of wartime technology to the intense rivalry of the space race. We follow the transformation of test pilots into astronauts, and we dive deep into the engineering marvel of the Saturn V rocket and uncover the global network that supported the Apollo missions. Yes, from the triumphs of Apollo 11 moon landing to the near disaster of Apollo 13, we explore not just the successes but also the challenges and the human stories behind them. The journey continues through the space shuttle era, redefining how we operate in space, and leads us to the modern age of exploration, shaped by companies such as SpaceX and NASA's return to lunar missions with the Artemis project. So it's all going to be kicking off. Do you like me hat? It's very nice, isn't it? It's a flightsimtees.com cap, and the 2 hats now. So I said, right, Gibbo sent me a box about 2 weeks ago.
Jesus.
And the postman said, I don't have it. And then today he was like, oh yeah, listen, I had this box and I forgot to give it to you. So now I have it. So tonight, friends, look, I've ears and everything, look. Ah, Jesus. Right, we're sporting off. I'll show you up close. Firefly 235. That's on the leather bit, look. These are all customizable. And then there's another hat. 2 hats. Look at this. All very fancy and terribly nice. So, this is great. Look, if I go to this cam, you'll never again be able to slag me. Wait now, where's the button? Is that it? No, Jesus, no. Is that it? Yes! Look! The back of me head! It does the job! It's all brilliant! Fantastic. Look! I mean, that's a smooth now, you know. Oh, brilliant. For aerodynamic purposes, of course. But anyway, very excited to get this brand new series underway. This is going to lead us right up to Expo. And yeah, as I was saying, it's all about kind of spaceflight. The whole thing is just terribly interesting. I've always had an interest in it, and it's been reignited. Did you see what I did there with the Artemis projects just very recently completing its mission to fly around the moon and return safely to the Earth? But, well, where did it all kind of start from? And, well, why did it take us so long to go back? These are some of the things we're going to be learning about throughout this series, but also the technology the effort that, you know, what people can accomplish when they work together, the whole thing, it's absolutely insane. So that's what we're doing. Do you know, that's what we're all up against. So let's see here now. What have I to do? Buttons. You're all very welcome in. Hope you had a grand weekend. We completed our Bremen flight. I was jaded and I was flat out busy today. Some days I'm just very busy. Today, flat out busy. We got our schedule out for the week, and there's things and stuff and loads, but we're here now and we get to go flying on this on Monday evening where it's currently 14 degrees in Tipperary. It's quite mild and it's getting hot inside me hat, but sure, listen, we'll see how we get on, who's here in the chat and who has ventured in, because friends, these flights will be on multiplayer. We're also going to be using Say Intentions Groupie for these as well, so it'll be fantastic. Can you imagine the carnage of Murph and where's that place? But yes, it's going to be brilliant. So, bit of tunage maestro in the background. APU Inspector's here. Happy Monday. Tarnished Mossman. Hello. Good to see you, bud. Mrs. GPHI, upside down, is present. You're very welcome aboard. Vacuum is here. DCS Ducks, hello. Super Ty, sup? Welcome aboard. Fierce Wolf, looking fierce. And Wolfie, welcome in, buddy. Mac Vision is here. Sir Camsalot, my dude, you're very welcome aboard. Chalks is in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Viper Strike, welcome back. 98 Vulcan is here. Wolf, good evening. Thing Wizard is in the house. Evening, Gavna. Hope you're well, buddy. Norse Viking, a very good evening to you. The Impossible Face. Houston, we have an Egypt. Right. Spitfire, RAF 100 is here in the chat. Happy Monday to you. Shuffle Shoes. Shuffles in. AJH, hope you're well. North Coast Mike is in the house. The Impossible Face says, good evening. Yes. Houston, we have an Egypt. And also good evening. That works. Creo, a very good evening. And hello to everyone in County Mayo. Hope you're well. Let me see here now. Sumner is in the house. Sunny Naples, Florida. Sumner, hope you're having a great day, man. Linny Bobbins is here, 'tis herself. Good to see you. Super Ty, thank you for 3 in a row. Commander Bolosh is in the house. A very happy Monday to you. Hope you're well. Liptorius is here. He says, how are you, Murph and Fireflies? Happy Monday and a new journey. Murph, we love you to the moon and back. Would you go away? Isn't that lovely? Thank you very much indeed, Liptorius. Eamon 1973 is in the house. Good to see you. Robert J56, welcome aboard. Chalks is here for 25 streams in a row, buddy. Cheers, man. Appreciate you. Happy last Monday of the month, AJH Canoehead. Oh, it is. When summertime officially starts, it's May next week. Brilliant. It's May this week. It's May on Friday. Alberto, good evening. Muse Fan is in the house. Very welcome aboard. A very happy Oxymoron Monday. Yes. Malky, good evening. Idle Cutoff, Cambridge calling. Hello from Tipperary. Good to see you, Idle Cutoff. Uniform Goose. Good day, Goose. Yeah, okay, I did look better there if I wore a hat, in fairness, right? Jesus. But yes, Sunjammer's in the house. Murph is trying to fly with his small hands. What? I'm over the moon to be here. Go on yourself, Flyer 10. Proby Pete is in the house. Good to see you, buddy. First flight of the Bremen. Nice. Blinky, a very good evening. Flying Tritz is here. Hope you're well. And thank you very much indeed. Yeah, we had lots of fun yesterday. It was a long out flight. But it was some achievement, wasn't it? Some achievement. But fantastic stuff. Now, where are we? We're over here, look. The Impossible Face, 15 in a row. Thank you very much indeed. Fibro, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. Cyrus T, the man of teal, has rambled in. Stu Snape is here. Good evening. Hope you're well. McManser, happy Monday. We've never lost an Irishman in space. We're sure as hell not going to lose one on my watch. Failure is not an option. Apollo 13, though. What a movie. Tima is in the house. Good evening. Mr. Big Bridges is here. Bricky Stew, welcome aboard. The Tennessee Texan. Your production value is just out of this world. Thank you very much indeed. You're very kind. I just stress over trying to make things look nice and, not break things. Actually, now that you mention it, though, I just got a beep in my ear to say that my headphones have died. Hang on now. It's like a pit stop. That one goes in. And if I've done this within 7 seconds, you need 7 seconds. If you do it right, they turn themselves back on. Brilliant. Right, technology today. Now, let's have a look. Dougal McTavish, the chairman, has rumbled aboard. Good to see you, Dougal. Hope you're well. Memphis Don is here. Good to see you. Old Veteran 965. Tier 2, 64 months. He says, how many buttons have been pushed? Will it work? Will the opening theme music end in an explosion? And here he is hiding the receding hairline. No! Thank you very much indeed, Scott. And also, Shagoff. It's sun protection. It protects me from the rays, you know, and protect you from the sun getting burnt on my face, because I do get terrible panda eyes. But yes, hiding, where's this now? Hiding balding are we? Says Super Tie. I'm not balding. I have a fantastic, oh jeez. There's still, I look like a yobbo when I wear a hat like that. There's still plenty of isn't there? Right, so it's just, I'm wearing a cap to hide the, it's to stop you from feeling jealous is what I'm doing. Yeah, Murphy and his beautiful mane of hair, it's so nice. That's what it is. Right, anyway, de Ruyter, good evening. This evening we fly a Cessna 172 over the moon. Yeah, it's possible. Kind of. I think the hair in his wig has already fallen out, hence I'm wearing a cap to cover his baldness. Wait, what? Canoehead says, a friend told me the Irish were planning on flying to the sun. I said, that's impossible. They'll burn to a crisp. He said, no problem, we're going to go at nighttime. All right. Swing. Jesus. Brilliant. Nutty Slack is here, good to see you. I just flew about the whole way from Dublin to Dubai with Flaps 1 deployed. Man yourself, that's how you do it. Flight simulators in the house, good to see you. You're doing the flight to Greenland Nook from Birmingham. Whoa. Got a box and now the cat owns it. Indeed. What do you mean the hat doesn't fit? It does fit. Look at my beautiful shaped head inside in the hat. It does fit. It's lovely. Right. Hermit something. A very good afternoon to Boston. Hope you're well. Toto, 24.95. Very good evening to you and Mrs. Toto. Hope you're well. Where is this now? Where's the gadget? Oh, it's over here. Look at the fancy Johnny 2 hats, I'm telling you. It's got a white strip beacon on the back of your hat. As soon as you turn off the lights, it'll glow and the beacons will be lit. It just has writing on the back. Very nice. Should we put the mirror on the back of the hat to ensure we get proper glare from the back of the head? Wait, what? Memphis Don, good to see you. So does this mean we get to see some streams? Streams, you say? KSP, I'm lost. KSP. Where? KSP. Where's that now? Zybok Doc, a very good evening. Hello from Tipperary, hope you're well. You need a new life at the back, the shiny part helps. Oh, Kerbal Space Program. Now, see, I'm after bashing me toe off a battery because I put me battery. Did I show you me battery? This is very heavy now. This could end in feckin'... Oh, Jesus. Oh, did you hear it? Oh, Jay, how do we turn this now without breaking things? This is me new battery look. Isn't it terribly fancy with buttons and things? Jesus. It's at 87%. I've already charged the Mac and me phone 4 times. This won't fit in me bag now that but like, it's a good outsized battery, but they do the job. Jesus, they do the job. It weighs very heavy. And I just realised, with wires down here. Hang on. How safe are these to kind of kick and, throw around the place? Oh, Jesus. I often thought that. But look, I pressed the button and it turned off. That's fantastic. I didn't know I can do that. Is it all right to keep in the house? Oh, God, it is. Yeah, it is. Basically, it'll run, I've tested it, it'll run the TV, the fridge, the router, the Mac, and all my little paraphernalia off me mobile streaming setup for about 7 hours with everything connected. That's impressive. But yes, very good. Now, let me see. Cracker is here. Good evening, and hope you're well. Good afternoon, and Mr. Murphy, or whoever the bloke is behind the desk. Do I not look like my normal self? I think I do. I think I look lovely. That's what I asked my wife. Do I look okay? No. And then I was like, what? She goes, you look lovely. Anyway, buttons. Sergeant B's, good evening. Home Wreckers in the house. Tenured is here, welcome aboard. UTB, good evening. Service Abyss, welcome aboard, buddy. Hope all is well. Dissolution is in the house. Wills, 1985, a very happy Monday. Kozaki Flyer is here. Good to see you, Kozaki. Now, let me see. They're right, this AN-2 ain't got no brakes. Yeah, I know, there's no brakes in this. We'll be grand, we'll figure it out. It'll be totally fine. Lucky Bo, good afternoon. Brakes, where we're going, we don't need brakes. Yeah, that's the spirit. Are we going to get more photos from St. Paul to put up? I don't know, Scott. Do we have photos? A girdle.
Dreamy, sleepy, nighty, snoozy, snooze.
Photos by Kev is here, rambling in with a 29-month subscription. Thank you very much indeed, Kev. Cheers, buddy. Where is this now? Good evening. Red Bull do it in 2. Huh? Pit stop. When is the next F1? So Miami is on this weekend. So we'll probably do some... Gibbo, I read that completely wrong. Miami is this weekend, so we'll probably do F1 next weekend. Do you know what I mean? But yes, Soaring AJ, happy Monday to you, buddy. Hope you're well. Let's see here now. If I say something here and it's just too far out there, it's probably a massive typo. That's quite okay, Hermit. Angry Lou, good to see you. Dazza T Arab, well now. Hello there. Good to see you, buddy. Now, let me see. He's going to try let it grow and go for the comb over.
Hello there.
Gibbo had to sew 2 hats together. Scott, we're like, you come up for air, will you? Jesus! What did you do today, Scott? I hit Murphy with 1,007 insults and he cried loudly after each of them. Jesus, brilliant. Oh, Kerbal Space Program, yeah, I don't know, lads. I don't know. I'm confused even thinking about it, do you know? But yes, Sith, good evening. Daddy Plump, good evening. Crafty Tigers, good evening. Hope you're well. Where is this now? It looks like a Jackery wannabe. What? Who? My last Kerbal Space Program save was named Scottish Aeronautical Division, or SAD for short. Steiny's here, good to see you. That's just for Muse's new cooler, right? Battery, so much for solar power. Well, you need I didn't get solar, not yet. But yes, show us the back of your shirt. The back of me shirt. Then I have to stand up and make it up all kind of weird. It's Dublin. It's Pascal. No, wait. He's Cork. Dublin is the thing. Where is it now? How about the lights and the TVs? Wait, what? No, TV. Well, the TV in the sitting room, yeah, but none of this gear. None of the rig or any of that. Not a hope. Mr. Alaska, good evening. Hope you're well. That's a lovely hat today. Thank you, Crafty Tigers. Brilliant. Now, Muttley, good evening. Where's this now? Where's this? Gibbo, or not get Muse, did you get a fridge? Naughty Gnome is here. Good to see you, buddy. 15 streams. Hello. Welcome aboard. Dazza says, I applied for the job with Training Information Tactical Services today. I hope they keep me abreast of the situation. You applied for the job with tits and you hope to be kept abreast of the situation. Dazza, that's hilarious. Gibbo, good to see you. He goes, Asher, would you look? He kind of pulls it off. I thought you said for a second he can't pull this off. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I see it now. Yeah. So Muse fan got a fridge. Wait. Huh?
Jesus.
Did you not already have a fridge? You lazy. Is this now a fridge you'll have beside your gaming setup? You know, with the lovely pints. Brilliant. Just Roy is here. Good evening. Nice fashion change there. Well, thank you very much indeed. I'm dressed by flightsimtees.com. So if you don't like it, it's tough. That's what they made me wear. Brilliant. But no, it's grand. It's nice. It's a nice hat. I kind of like it, you know. It has our Firefly 235 across the top. These are customizable, by the way. And we have some logos on one side. And we have other logos on the other side. Very sophisticated. Very. Where is this now? It's grand. Watch a few Scott Manley videos and you'll be orbiting Kerbal. I'm telling you. Chris Van Halen. Good evening, the fridge. The fridge is riot. Now, let me see. He just has to remember to load said fridge. Yeah. I got a new fridge, nothing special. Come on, congratulations, Muse. It's not every day you get a new fridge, you know. Referring to the YouTube channel of that dame. Oh, right, gotcha. Makes sense now. Dave Cleary, legend Dave. Welcome back, Dave. Hope you're well. Black Sheep Jean is in the house. It was a wonderful 9-hour stream yesterday. Congrats to all the winners of the stuff. Yes, indeed, Jean. Yes, indeed. Great to see you, buddy. Mark Alderson is here. Welcome aboard. The Atlas Skylines Club is here. Oogie Boogie, welcome in. Wheels up. Good morning from Vancouver-ish. Hello from Tipperary. Good to see you. Now let me see. Ragged Donkey's in the house. Mav Wings, good evening. FMJ is in the house. Dennis Robart is here. Good to see you. Where is this? Oh, T-Sac 1, good man. Mud Dog is in the house. Kubi Montana, you're very welcome aboard. Bald and Bankrupt. Wait, what? Oh yeah, that'd be me. Captain Cocktail is here. Good to see you. Your stream lags on YouTube. Oh, it lags. Give it an hour refresh because I'm not losing any frames. But if you are watching us over on YouTube, you might keep me honest and let me know how it's going on. We should be pushing out a normal stream. Let's see what happens. Heisenberg, a very good evening. Hope you're well. Happy Monday, bud. And right, we'll get over here and get ourselves started because we're flying a machine tonight. Thank you, Idle Cutoff. We're flying a machine tonight that doesn't work terribly well. It's well suited. Well suited. So we'll do one of these. Now, here we go, look. Brilliant. Now, get in there, you, good and tired. So, with our flight tonight, we're going to be using multiplayer and also groupie from Say Intentions. Now, the aircraft we've gone with tonight, this is the AN-2, the Antonov built aircraft. I've had the privilege and pleasure to see a few of these in my days. Never flew in them, but I've been in them, and they're massive. Ginormously massive. They're a huge airplane. So this is what we're going to be checking out, or this is what we're going to be flying today. Now, I think the developer was AT-Sim. And the issue is it was taken over by Asobo. It's a native 2024 aircraft, and they've shagged it because the brakes don't work and the sounds are a little bit So what started off which once upon a time was a phenomenal add-on. It needs a lot of care. The good news is, well, they've realised this, so Microsoft and Asobo have added this aircraft to the upcoming Sim Update 5, in which that'll be the aircraft and avionics update. It's going to be absolutely brilliant, and I'm very excited to see and very happy that they're working on this aircraft for the next update of the Sim. You see, so let's have a look. That's working, and I think that's working. Yeah, all our stuff is working. Right, super duper. Now, let me see. Old put. I'm telling you, bet the sounds are still better than the A400, right? Now, lads, the flight plan for tonight, lads, is a little bit tricky because we're flying in an area that does not have good coverage when it comes to airport names, nav aids, and all the jazz, right? So I'm going to show you what it is it looks like. Right, PQ, good evening. So the flight plan, it's broken down into a number of different waypoints, all right? And if you don't have this, well, you should have this because I've called them waypoints, but it's the same flight plan. However, you'll notice our starting airport, Uniform Alpha 00, is also our ending airport. That is not correct. The problem being is, up by the test site, up at the Cosmodrome, there is an airport, but I don't have an ICAO code for it. Doesn't exist on SkyVector, doesn't exist on Navigraph. But I do believe it's there, right? If you search bald and bankrupt Baikonur, you'll see what I'm saying. Muttdog, got you now. Sweet. So to talk about what way we're going to fly this one, right? So we are departing out of Uniform Alpha 00. And what we're going to do, very much a VF4 flight, we're going to ramble up this way because we're heading over a place called Kyzylorda. Now, Keen, you might give us a solid there with the pronunciations because, well, you know, I can try accent, but pronunciation not good. But anyway, we're going to follow on up by the river here. And from the river, we have a couple of waypoints. I called it River, Windy River, More River, right? Here's a river that has a couple of wavy lines that we mentioned in the first place. And as we stay going, I said we'll come up here to this kind of power lines. We'll follow the power lines, yes. And then we'll go over Bijani. Then we're going up to this way. And there is an airport up here at waypoint 7, right? How do you get the runway lines on? Runway lines? In Navigraph, I'll show you now in a sec. Outside of a place called Sosali, right, or Zosali. There is an airport. I think it looks like an airport. We're going to touch down there. If not, we're just going to land in the desert. Grand. From there, we continue on, and we're going to follow another river, right, all the way over to here, which is just outside the town of Baikonur. And there is a little runway there. We're going to stop as well. So from there, it's on up to the Cosmodrome and all the rocketry and missile test sites. They all live up here. And you can see that because we have power, there's power, there's rail, there's roads, there's a lot of industrial kind of infrastructure up this neck of the woods. And considering you are in the desert, this is where we're at. Right, so we have a number of different test fields and launch pads, and this is our main launch pad we're looking at, right? This is where Yuri Gagarin blasted off from, and then we're going to do a full stop landing up here. All right, so you'll have to bear with me now. What Cyrus is saying, there is an option to turn these on. So if you zoom in to where the airport is, right? If you go into your map options, map, where's the options? Right now. Where's Where's the settings? Have they moved that? Oh, they have. No. Where's the settings for this? Oh, here. Press this one here. Look, see the little filters and the layers, right?
Everybody, Heart Healer 1 just joined the group.
Sweet.
For your attention to this matter.
Thank you for your attention. It's in here. You can turn this stuff on or off, right? Power line. So if you go to the charts, satellite terrain, Bora, settings, airports, I think it's in here. Flight path holding. There you go. Extended center lines. That's where it is, Cyrus. Buried. But that's where it is. All right. So that's where we'll find it. So that's our flight plan. We'll do our best to kind of stay with it, right? It's hard to call. It's hard to call. But we'll do our best to stay with it. And then what we'll do here, we're going to open up Groupie and have a look at our upcoming flight. So let's have a look. From the Earth to the Moon. And we'll bring this guy over. Zoom out. Here we go. So here we have a couple of people starting to get up and ready. And we have our different call signs. And the main route, it's start and finish at the same location. So the brakes seem to be okay if you hot start it, says Ducks. Oh, really? When you say hot start it, do you mean controlling it? My mum called her dog Leica. I do believe the mutt is older than the OG now. Jesus. Wait, what? Right. Steiny, that went over my head. Leica? Og? Leica? Load in on the runway, you mean? Oh, really, Ducks? Oh. Okay, well, sure, look, we'll see what we can do, right? We'll see what we can do. When we arrive at our next place, first dog in space. Ah, Leica, the first dog in space. Yes. I see what you mean now. I do believe the mutt is older than the OG. They launched a dog into space in the 50s, didn't they? Or was it 60s? Leica the dog. Oh, you think I'd know that now, wouldn't you? But anyway, what we will be covering tonight, except for the dog, right? We're going to be talking about the origins. This is all about the origins of, you know, the who's and the what's it's, right? So where did all this kind of start from? The technology, the kind of political upheaval that was going on. We then had a space race. And then what the Soviets were doing versus what the Americans were doing, and so on. And then we talk a little bit about the different projects that were started up, and it brings us right up to kind of, well, next week when we start talking about the equipment and that, right? So there's a fair bit there, right? There's a fair bit there. Where's this now? Cranley Airport is in little nav map. Ah, right. Okay. Pigs in space, I'm telling you. Now, this machine, let's see what we can do here. So we know there is an issue with the brakes, but Dux is saying it's fine if you load in. Interesting. No need to pronounce the first Murph, i.e. Leica. Thank you. Carlos, good to see you. It is that of the local legend, yes. So we'll go ahead and get the battery on. That's it, lads. I don't know anything else about the aircraft. We'll get the battery on. Get this gadget turned on because we need him. I do think we need the radio on. This is going to be all sorts of crack. So, hello, flight controls, attitude, battery switches on, comm radios. We want these guys. Balls, this was working. There we go. So we want the comm radios. Really? They were working just fine. I think it's them. No, it's not those. Never mind. Comm radios, Murph. Oh, I think it's over here. No, that's engine instruments. Alright, we'll just wing it. We'll just wing it. There are comm radios. Fuel shut off valve. Come on down to here. This needs to be fully forward, which it is. Prop lever goes up. This is our mixture. That stays in the back position. These are engine cowling and oil flaps. They're okay for the moment. These are external lights. Mags go to both. Right? What else do you want to do here now? Pneumatic valve, that's opened. Air pressure, park and brake is set. Don't think it works. Fuel selector needs to go to both. That's going to be that way. Beacon light is already on. Anti-fire switch needs to be turned on. That's this guy here. Little yellow light to say that's on. Super. We don't get the radio switches on, do we? What's that for? Oh, they're lights. Right, they're lights. Right, engine parameters, fuel quantity, that's okay. So starting the engine is going to be prop, mixture, done, prime as required, prop, mags, starter master, which is that guy. And then we'll see what happens after that. So we'll get some fuel pumped in. Bit of pumpage, right? And then we get some chokeage or primer. Come on, Betsy.
Hello there.
Sounds great, doesn't it? And now what else do we need to do? Now, oh Jesus. Now I think we just give it a start, lads. You ready? My buttons have forsaken me. Right. Now we just give it a start. So to do this, I think we go to the left and then over to the right as it charges up. So let's see what happens. We could be lucky here. This could be great. So we're waiting for the old flywheel starter thing to get down to about 8. Then we horse it over to the right and it should engage. So let's see what happens. We missed a spot. All right. She didn't want to engage. Mixture. Not enough prime, maybe? Fuel valve left of mixture. Fuel valve left. Well, there's a mixture. We did this guy. He is set to both. We don't need any of these guys. The red knob. Does that not go forward? Balls. I thought that went forward. Right, hold fire. The primage. We'll try that again. Maybe I had it in the wrong direction. Let's see what happens. Ah, Betsy. Right now. And we'll try this one. Red knob forward. We had it forward. We'll try a bit more prime. You gotta love this airplane already, don't you? Sounds just like a Skoda. Right, we'll give it another blast. Is everything on? Mags are on. Starter switch is on. This is all on. They're all engine instruments and stuff. We'll turn them on for the crack. Let's see what happens now. Little more fuel and we can have a stack fire, right? Tima says, I wanted to start but couldn't get to speed up. Uh-oh. It does work. The only issue I found with this were the brakes. Dots seems to be an issue with the fuel selector on both. Works better on right or left. Okay, we'll try that next. Come back to me. Right, we'll try on the left tank. One fly air, good to see you, buddy. It's a bug. Fuel selector, not to both. Have to be right or left. Thank you, FK Princess. PS Miranda, thank you for 35 months. We are learning. It just doesn't want to play, does it? What am I missing? That needs to be open. This lad needs to be fuel pumped in, right? Give it a second now. Don't know what that does. We'll turn it on and let's just go mad with it. Master switch is on. Try it again. I wasn't happy with the Mooney. All we need now is a hammer. Don't think I'm forgetting nothing. It's a while since I flew it. Get the throttle open. Shouldn't that be go... Right, we're turning on lights everywhere. Manifold pressure, the whole shebang. Come on, Betsy, you can do it. Shouldn't that get, like, below 8? No? In Soviet Russia, plane starts you. It's as if that needs to be going below 8, I think. That's where the issue is, isn't it? Too early. I have to turn it at least below 8. Yeah, there's something not right here. Hang on. The starter's probably shagged. Recharge the battery. And let's see, can we get that below 8 again? Come on, Betsy. Come on, Betsy. It's like that system isn't energizing. This is very strange. Is that like something to do with voltage, I wonder? We'll try it again. There's spinach. It's like 10, trying to work its way up to 9.
Can I do the refund?
Boise, good to see you, buddy. I had the tool top that showed a percentage, 100% then crank. Yeah, where's he? We could control E it. Jesus, control E doesn't want to work. Really? Ah, that's hardly it. Right. It's stuck in an endless loop. Hey, Dougal, good to see you. Think the fuel valve is broken? No, she was working. This is most unusual. Most unusual. We'll try it again, lads. We'll give it one last blast, and if it doesn't work, we'll fly from the runway. Do you know? You need to be able to speak Russian. Very strange. Right, we'll go through this again, right? Wish now. Wished. Right, disappear you so we can see what we're doing. That is the battery. Yes. Now, that needs to go forward. That opens up. Here's a mixture. That's all totally fine. Mags will be turned on, right? Starter gadget switch is this fella. Let me see now. Maybe leave those guys out for the moment. We're going to say this guy go to the right. We need to turn you on. Pump this fella. That's a mixture, so that goes fully back, yeah. Yet from the forums, place the aircraft manually on the airport, do not use a parking spot, and select shutdown in the starting options. Oh, Steiny, really? Ah, right, let's try this one more time and see what happens. Mags are on, we've done all this jazz. Let's see how fast this will spin. Oh, it doesn't want to work now at all, look. What did I miss? Oh, starter, come on, Murph. Right, let's see what happens. We should get up to where we need her to be. It should put non-functioning buttons in the correct position for flight. Okay. How did they break it so much? Do. True aviation right here. We'll spend an hour looking at it and then hit it with a hammer. Ain't looking good, is it? It's only been 4 minutes. That's the spirit. Right. We'll try this again. So we'll start at the airport in a shutdown position and not in a parking spot. Set as departure. On the ground shut down. I wonder if I should just do on the ground ready for takeoff just to skip the BJs then we were having. I think we'll do that. Anyone order an should be grand. Let's just start up now, engines running, and it's going to be wonderful.
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
You're welcome, Betsy. Now, let's see what happens. Ah, look! I let this bit out. First time!
It's not the plane.
Right.
It's the pilot.
Now, hang on, before we go, this is terribly important. No. No. Yes! We need the air fan on. It's very important. Lights. Off the brakes. Ah, sure, look at this. Isn't it only deadly? Right, what's the time of day set to? We're going to about 3 o'clock-ish. And the weather... Few clouds? What's live weather? Easy now. Easy now. Oh, Jays, did you hear the bang? Did I just run over someone? Jays, terribly sorry. Didn't mean to. Right. Is this good or bad? It's totally grand. You can start the fan. You should have put that in the front of the plane. Brakes are working. Actually, this is brilliant, crack. What were you all giving out about? Sure, this is exactly how you started. You probably stood in a child. Quick, give him a lanyard. Brilliant. Right, let's have a look here now. Is this all working? Yes, I think it is. Ah, brilliant. Jesus, will you slow down? Easy now. Jesus, Stu Snape doesn't even have a plane. Look. Stu, you're literally flying without an airplane. Easy now. I will say this, it's a very beautiful cockpit. Isn't it very nice? Yes!
Approaching runway 23.
Right now, we'll go this way. Yeah, Stu, there's no model matching for you, mate. I think I know what's wrong. It's because I probably removed the default Cessna. Stu is literally flying by the seat of his pants. Child starts the plane for Murph. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Hey, it's Lazy. Good to see you. Jesus, that's embarrassing, isn't it? And I wouldn't mind, like, I mean, Jesus, why is there other people? Mav Wings is not in it. Right. Do you know what it's trying to do? It's trying to load us into the WB Sim Cessna and it's not working. That's just embarrassing. We'll figure it out, lads. We'll figure it out. Model matching, honest to Jesus, like. It's just, you know, if it wasn't as funny, it'd upset you. Right, the good news is there's movement. So if you remove the default 172, it causes say intentions model matching to flake out. Duly noted. The good thing is we've brakes. We've all sorts of sounds for the brakes. Alright, let's see what happens. Oh! Did you hear the bang? Caribou migration. Don't mind me, I'm a Muppet. Easy now. Jesus, this thing, you wouldn't turn this handy in Crow Park, would you? Right. Let's see what happens. I've gone to 23 and 075. Uh-oh. You've gone to 23 instead of 05. Should be grand, Stu, should be grand. I also noticed there's no autopilot in this, isn't there? Murphy, you're a genius. Right, power! Yes! To infinity and... Oh, Jesus. Easy. Beside. Right. Ah, sure, this is great crack altogether, look. And just like that, Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Okay, we absolutely don't have an autopilot, so this is going to be hilarious. All right, friends, follow me. All is well. Easy now. I don't know what my speed is going to be. Oh, no, we can see it there, look. 80 knots, look. This plane would be awesome in VR. This was always an awesome airplane, but a couple of sim updates have kind of shagged it. But we're grand, we'll keep it together. At least you won't wobble as much as I did in the 152. You better believe they'll be wobbling. Alright. Yeah, Malk, you tried it, doesn't work. This is a Technam, is it? Okay, we're looking good, we're looking good. We want to head up kind of yonder this direction. And we'll play it all by ear. This is actually nice. Is that all this thing can do? 84 knots? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh no, there she is. Come up the road there now. We need a bit of speed on this. Yep, you do, will you? Easy now. Altitude wide is perfect, so we're good. Hopefully the ATR is good in the new update as well. Yeah, we need the ATR. Although, the last update for the ATR wasn't bad, lads, was it? Easy now. Right, we're going the right way. This is great crack. Right, lads, if you're flying along with us now, Xbox pilots, or if you're on the PlayStation, it's number 1. If you're on the PC, press 2. If you're using Say Intentions, Groupie is number 3. And for everyone else, if you're flying or just sitting here and enjoying, well, I won't even say enjoying, it's number 4. Hello, Fireflies. Welcome to the Flying Circus. We live stream Monday to Friday, 1900 Zulu time, right here. We appear to be getting some serious windage. 30 knots? Right. I need to fix this one. Yeah, with the garden. Now you're talking. That's a wee bit better now, lads. There's a wild wombat. Test pilot, good to see you, buddy. Right, it's all coming together. The model matching is absolutely shagged. But so listen, lads, you know, I mean, we'll overcome these things. We'll do the other thing. Not because they're easy. You can't fly that slow mode for a slow plane.
Pete just joined the group. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Very good. What do you mean slow mode? That doesn't affect us, Iris. We're doing 120 knots. That's not that flat slow. What are you flying? Is some update 5 out yet? No, it's not. Clearly, I'm in an absolute terrible predicament. Said the one who drives the tractor all week. Yeah, 120 is 172. Shag off with the buttons. Right, hang on now. I've notes over here. Safe bet. Let's go reading from them, shall we? So, friends, we shall start off from Earth to the Moon. Brilliant. So, where did it all begin with? And when I get this machine kind of somewhat stable and we can just fly it, well, that's what we'll do, right? But our story starts back in the Second World War. Most of you probably know this, but maybe some of you don't. When it comes to the production of rocketry, right, the German V2 was the world's first large-scale liquid-fueled rocket, and it was also the first long-range ballistic missile. It was developed under Wernher von Braun's leadership during the Second World War, and it used a powerful liquid fuel engine and gyroscopic guidance to fly supersonic and then fall back to the Earth along a ballistic arc. The V2 could reach altitudes of roughly 80 to 90 kilometers, essentially skimming the edge of space, and travel at around 320 kilometers with a 1-ton warhead. Despite its technological brilliance, well, the rocket was designed to terrorize cities. Thousands of prisoners were forced to manufacture the V2 in tunnels. At least 10,000 of them died in the process. The same technology that later sent humans to the moon thus began as a weapon of war, which is... We kind of see that over and over again when it comes to, you know, massive leaps in technological capability. Aviation is absolutely no stranger to it at all. It's just one of those things, right? Now the V2s, these were launched at London, they were launched at Antwerp, and these were a terrifying weapon. They were part of, like, what do they call them? Hitler's super weapons, or that was the nickname they got in these, right? But sort of bell. Outside of you know, the weapon side of it, outside of all of that, well, the technology itself was, well, genius, proper genius, right? So the rockets were capable of traveling at supersonic speeds. They impacted without any sort of an audible warning, and they proved to be somewhat unstoppable. No countermeasures existed at the time, except for misdirection and attacks on launch sites and manufacturing facilities. However, post-war and historical assessments found they had little material or strategic impact on the war, despite the great cost of the program. During the late 1920s, a young Wernher von Braun bought a copy of Hermann Oberth's book, The Rocket into Interplanetary Spaces. And in 1928, rocket rumble fad in the popular media was initiated by Fritz von Opel and Max Valier, a collaborator of Oberth, by experimenting with rockets. The rocket rumble was highly influential on von Braun as a teenage space enthusiast. He was so enthusiastic after seeing one of the public Opel rocket car demonstrations that he constructed and launched his own homemade toy rocket car known as the AN-2 cycle on a crowded sidewalk, and was later taken in for questioning by the local police. So kind of, you know, to give an idea of the people and von Braun in particular, you know, you can kind of think the mad scientist, right? Which is just nuts. So von Braun, as a young fella, I mean, he was just mesmerized by rocketry and built his own stuff, and crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. Starting in 1930, von Braun attended the Technik Hochschule in Berlin, where he assisted Oberth in liquid-fueled rocket motor tests. And von Braun was working on his own doctorate when the Nazi Party gained power in Germany. And artillery captain Walter Dernbergen arranged an Ordnance Department research grant for von Braun, who then went to work on the next solid-fuel rocket test site. So that's where the connection was. He was working on rockets. All sorts of political stuff happened in Germany, as we well know, and well, his ideas were very much liked and sponsored and endorsed, and right, have at it and see what you do, right? So that's the turbulent side of it. However, after the war, and this is where things get interesting. After the war, this technology for peacetime application, that's where it really Terrible pun, but that's where it really took off in terms of the capability of what they could actually do. This new fuel, being able to propel an object, 80 or 90 kilometers, that was known as the edge of space between Earth and space. It was capable of doing so. So it's very, very interesting stuff. And von Braun was one of the main kind of protagonists behind all of that. So they started working on then what was called the A4 project, but it was postponed due to unfavorable aerodynamic stabilities. And we have some pictures here now to show you. Now this is Wikipedia stuff, so you'll have to say Murph really, but I'll show you what the crack is. So here is a picture of a young von Braun at a research centre. On Murphy, you can do your browser. There we go. So there he is there. At an army research centre, right? And then when you look at the V2, isn't there a replica of one of these in Duxford? Or is that a V1? I think it's a V1. But there's one of these in London. They have one inside in the... they have them inside the Imperial War Museum. Absolutely massive. Absolutely massive, right? Now, there's a video down here. So this is the inner workings of it. So the warhead, then we have the equipment room, the fuel tank, alcohol water mixture, suction line, liquid oxygen, a thrust stand, engine antenna, thrust and spoilers. V2 is somewhat bigger. Yeah, the V1, what do they call it? The bundle bug. Yeah, considerably smaller. Where is this now? So we do have rocket assembly and launching. Have a look at this. This is like declassified stuff, right? But it's just to give you the idea. V2 rocket. Like this was at the time otherworldly. Do you know? I'm really low. Altitude wise, yeah, no, that's okay. Doodlebug, that's the one. That's the one. So like the testing, this is all like highly secretive at the time, and the cost of this endeavor was friggin' nuts, right? White Sands Proving Ground. Yeah, probably Linny, I'd say. Yeah, probably. So the original German designation of the rocket was V2, which basically was a second prototype. But it's as I say, like it's important to know when we look at spaceflight to this day, we look at the rocket launches and we look at all the stuff behind it, all the technology, and this is where it started. This was the infancy, if you like, of what was capable when it came to space travel, and Germany, without a shadow of a doubt, were leading that. Their application at the time wasn't necessarily for space. The idea was get a rocket up high, it would travel undetected and then smash into a target. That was their weapon, right? But the technology that von Braun was working on in terms of how you'd launch the vehicle, how the engine would work, the fuel ratio, all the aerodynamics, how all this worked, that's what he was very much behind. The reality is, the German labour back then, especially during the time of the Second World War, they used slaves. Tens of thousands of slaves were used in the production of this kind of stuff, which is just, it's frightening when you think about it. Belbro is here. Good to see you, buddy. Prime, yeah, 100%. So apart from, the incredibly kind of negative and, upsetting history of, why these things were being built in the first place, the technology definitely supported future endeavours. And as I said, in aviation, when it comes to warfare, aviation is absolutely no stranger to that. That's why you have carrier-based aircraft. That's why you have, guided weapons. Even helicopters, the idea was designed for combat. Either get people in or out of very small areas, all this kind of stuff. So that's just how the world pretty much works. Even today, when you consider drone warfare as a thing. And drone defenses. It's where the world is, right? But that's all of the V2. I think we have some videos here of her launching. And like, even coming up at all this, I mean, this was brand new. So in terms of having like various different teams, the trajectory of how this is going to launch, and what happens if things go wrong, you know what I mean? So here's a launch there now. So this is pretty much the start of it all in terms of the rockets and rocketry and opening the door to what could be the future of spaceflight, right? The V2 program sped up the space rate. God, it did. Winkle Gassner, welcome in. So again, fascinating stuff. But that's pretty much where the history was. There's the rocket used by the V2, or the rocket engine. It's absolutely nuts. Now you might say, right, Murph, that's grand. Oh, there's one in Cosfordshire. You might say, right, Murph, that's grand. Okay, so V2 rockets, brilliant. Well, the Germans were using them. How, how did this lead on to, the space race and what happened here? Well, we're going to move on to that because after the war had ended, here's one. The first photo of Earth from space was taken from a V2 in 1946, and this was launched by US scientists. And you might say to yourself, well, Jesus, how did the Americans get their hands on a V2? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we're going to cover that there now, right? So, when Germany surrendered in 1945, Allied powers rushed to seize rockets and expertise. The United States, through the Office of the Strategic Services, launched Project Overcast, which was later then called Operation Paperclip. The idea was to bring German scientists, engineers, and technicians to America. And although originally intended as a short 6 months advisory program, well, it quickly became permanent. US authorities recruited Werner von Braun and about 125 colleagues, many with Nazi Party or SS backgrounds. They were moved first to Fort Bliss and then later over to Redstone Arsenal, forming the core of the Army's ballistic missile program, and then later NASA's rocket development. At the same time, Russia, the Soviet Union, forcibly relocated German scientists and factories into the USSR. In October 1946, Soviet authorities rounded up leading members of the German rocket program and their families and shipped them to a secret facility where they helped reconstruct V2 rockets and develop Soviet derivatives. Both superpowers thus built their early rocketry on the same German foundation, creating a split in knowledge that would fuel the Cold War competition. Right? We should put to our right. We're just kind of roughly following that river there. Right? So Operation Paperclip, fascinating stuff here. We got some photos to show you. So this is an intriguing and very striking photograph. Kurt Debus, front row third in, was a former V2 rocket scientist and SS officer who became a NASA director, sitting between US President JFK and Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1962. Isn't it mad, right? Isn't it mad? So Operation Overcast, and Paperclip, they were related and in terms often used interchangeably. July 20th, 1945, with the dual aim of leveraging German expertise for the ongoing war effort against Japan. And of course, Germany had surrendered. They're only more than happy to help in some instances. But what the Americans managed to do, they secured some 1,200 German engineers, multiple V2 rockets, all the paperwork, all the data, and from the German perspective, I mean, they would have been happy. What, go to America? Yeah, why not? What was the alternative? Russia? Right? So that's where there was a very clear divide in it. Now, it's not to say the Americans hadn't a clue about any of this kind of stuff. Of course they did. They absolutely did. America was running its own stuff at the time in relation to the Manhattan Project and whatnot. But in terms of the delivery system with rockets, this was very much new to them. And the Germans were just so far advanced at this stage, in particular when it came to von Braun, just so far advanced, you know. But the operation, characterised by the recruitment of German specialists and their families, relocated more than 1,300 experts to the United States. It has been valued at some $10 billion in patents and industrial processes. Recruits included such notable figures such as Wernher von Braun, a leading rocket technology scientist. Those recruited were instrumental in the development of the US space program and also the military technology following in the Cold War. And despite its contributions to American scientific advances, Operation Paperclip has been controversial because of the Nazi affiliation of many recruits, and then the ethics of assimilating individuals associated with war crimes into the American society. You can imagine all sorts of drama was there. All sorts of drama. However, the operation wasn't solely focused on rocketry. It also transferred expertise in aerodynamics, aviation medicine, and also related military research. After moving to Redstone Arsenal in 1950, Wernher von Braun's team developed the Redstone and Jupiter missiles. When the group was transferred to NASA in 1960, it became central to work on the Marshall Space Flight Center and later developing the Saturn launch vehicles. Now, was there a movie done about this? And if not, why not? There should have been. Like the whole Operation Paperclip, a lot of it was kind of, cloak and dagger. We need to get our people in first, and then the Russians, they were doing their thing, and they had a list. We need these guys, we need those guys, right? Allied governments didn't really care about German scientists being former Nazi officers. Yeah. They classified the intel until after the death. A lot of them did, yeah. When the Arrow program shut down, a lot of the engineers went to work for NASA. Operation Paperclip. Yeah, but interesting stuff. And again, there's no political sway here, lads. This is just getting our facts, right? It's just getting our facts. But I thought it was very, very interesting. So what we were left with, right? The Americans with Operation Paperclip, the Russians had their own idea as well. What it meant is you now had a lot of German engineers and scientists on both sides. Both sides, right? So they both had similar technologies, but very different political systems. The United States and the Soviet Union pursued distinct approaches. In the United States, rocket development was openly coordinated between military, industry, and academia. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration became a civilian agency responsible for peaceful exploration. Engineers like von Braun were integrated into American society and later naturalized. Conversely, the Soviet Union operated under strict secrecy with centralized control. Sergei Korolev, himself a former Gulag prisoner, became chief designer and directed the efforts to replicate and improve the V-2. German experts were initially indispensable. Risk-taking and rapid prototyping were emphasized, and successes were publicized only after they happened. The space race was thus not only a race of rockets, but very much a clash of the different systems. Open collaboration versus secrecy, that's what shaped the innovation. Now, when we look at both of these dudes, right, where we have Sergei Korolev, these are fascinating characters, right? We have to do a bit of a right turn here. Is there a movie, Scott, on that? There is. So we have Sergei Korolev. So he headed up the Soviet side. Now, this lad spent time in the freaking Gulag. He's like, what? How did this happen? Basically, it goes through his early life and where he came from, how he got involved in, pretty much everything, where his education came from, where did he come into designing aircraft, in particular when it came to designing, Tupolev aircraft, right? Where is this now? Arrested in March with many other leading engineers and was imprisoned in the Gulag, Korolev was arrested on June after being accused of a variety of charges, including false charges extracted from, these. He was tortured in prison to extract a confession. reportedly been denounced by Andrei Kostakov, who became head of the RNII after his leadership. He was sent to prison where he wrote many appeals to the authorities, including Stalin himself. Following the fall of the NKVD head, the new chief chose to retry Korolev on reduced charges, but by that time Korolev was on his way from prison to a Gulag forced labour camp out in the Far East Siberia. So this devil didn't have it easy at all, right? But anyway, long story short, he was released. He got a commission with the Red Army with the rank of colonel, and he got a badge of honour awarded to him in 1945 during the war. After the war, well, that's where it kind of came in. Many leading German rocket scientists, including that of von Braun, appeared on his list that they had tried to sway over to the Soviet Union. Stalin made rocket and missile development a national priority upon signing a decree on the 13th of May 1946. A new institute called the Scientific Research Institute number 88, or NII 88, was created for that purpose in the suburbs of Moscow. Development of ballistic missiles were placed under the military control of Dmitry Ustinov through the decree signed by Stalin, and Ustinov appointed Korolev as the chief designer of long-range missiles at Department Number 3. During this period, Korolev demonstrated his organization and management capabilities by organizing a council of chief designers, which assisted in circumnavigating the bureaucratic hierarchy of the Soviet missile industry. So Korolev was keenly aware of the orbital possibilities of rockets being designed, as ICBM ideas were shared when working on NII-4. In 1954, 6 days after being tasked to lead the new OR-7 ballistic missile program, Korolev submitted a proposal to use the OR-7 to launch a satellite into space, naming a technical report from Tikhonov and mentioning similar work being carried out by the Americans. After receiving lukewarm support from Soviet leadership, Korolev initiated a modest satellite research project, and to intensify his lobbying efforts, along with others, began writing speculative articles for Soviet newspapers on space flight. They were picked up by the press in the United States and the CIA, influencing American authorities to start their own satellite program. So we started talking about, we're going to put something into space in a magazine. The CIA saw this and were like, what? What are they doing now? Right? He's a fascinating character, this Korolev lad. Basically, his skill set was very much that of management. Very much that of management. Sorry, Malky, I was going the wrong way. Leading teams and keeping people working. We have a couple of so here we are. Fired at the Soviet atomic bomb, Igor Kurchatov. So there's a picture of him there. Look, we have more. Go back. There he is. There. You ever see that guy? So that was on the Russian side, and the Russians, of course, being secretive, say nothing to no one, go out and do it first, and then when it is done, then we'll tell people, but only if it's successful. That was Russia's thinking, or the Soviet thinking, right? And then when you looked at the United States, they were very different. They were open, they were collaborative, they were all about getting people working together. They set up the systems more so. Where Russia, or the Soviet Union, they were very much, lash it on, belt it on, force it, brute force, push forward, at all costs, push forward. Where the Americans were more about building systems. Getting different systems to work with one another. It was just a very different kind of approach to all of this. In reality, Operation Paperclip, the Americans did far better. They got the cream of the crop when it came to the engineers and scientists. The Soviets, they got, I don't want to say second rate, but they would have got more kind of frontline workers rather than the minds behind it or the managers behind it. So when the Soviets, they got a whole number of V2 rockets as well, and they were pretty much able to hit the ground running faster because the guys were used to working on the equipment. These were the front runners of operations. They weren't, though, the they weren't in the wheelhouse of management, and that's where the Americans had a distinct advantage. They had the minds behind these systems. The Soviets had the minds who ran the systems, if that makes sense, right? And the spying, of course. There's a lot of lots and lots of different espionage stories, and it's all fascinating stuff. It really is fascinating stuff. But when you think about it, how all of this began from the V2 rocket into now the Soviets and the Americans, and with Korolev saying, yes, we're going to put a satellite into space, and he put that in a newspaper. The CIA picked it up and they're like, they're doing what now? We can't have that. And that's what started the whole thing. Suddenly now it became a race. Naturally, after the war, the Soviets and the Americans, the divide in Europe, communism, capitalism, the whole thing, like it pushed on for years and years and years and years. They got the brawn, the Americans got the brains. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah. I heard that one before. The Americans spent a lot of resources trying to get a biro. I think they wanted to get a biro to work in space, and the Russian answer was, we use Bensil. Right? But it is fascinating, and later on in this series, like when we advance from the early days of the space race, Sputnik, we get into, the first man in space, the first dog in space, and then, we look at Mercury, Gemini, and, Apollo. Way later, then you look at the space shuttle and the similarities between what the Americans had versus what the Soviets had. It is frightening. And again, thinking about this from, the Americans' perspective, with the likes of Wernher von Braun in place, and we'll learn a bit about him now, or a little bit more about him. Being one of the lead brains behind the V2 rocketry, having this gyroscopic navigation, the ability to be able to, launch a missile to be controlled completely by, the ground. Like Einstein level of thinking here, right? But anyway, he was an opportunist who joined the Nazi party, and that's probably the best way to say it, because, well, that's what the funding was. He was a scientist. Political and drama aside, von Braun was a scientist. He saw himself an opportunity. Well, if I align with these lads, I'll get the money that I need to further develop these things, right? So he was an opportunist, because he spoke about it in his later life. In 1939, I officially demanded to join the National Socialist Party. At this time, I was already technical director at the Army Rocket Centre by the Baltic Sea. The technical work carried out there had, in the meantime, attracted more and more attention in higher levels. Thus, my refusal to join the party would have meant that I would have to abandon the work of my life. Therefore, I decided to join. My membership in the party did not involve any political activity. And that came from von Braun himself. Right? Now, he could have said that, right? He could have been told to say that. But his later attitude toward the regime in the late 30s and 40s was complex, right? But anyway, park that and bring him now to America, because this is where it all got very interesting. Heinrich Himmler had von Braun come to East Prussia in February 1944 to increase his power base within the Nazi regime. Hitler was conspiring to use Kammler to gain control of all German armament programs, including that of the V2 program. He therefore recommended that von Braun work closely with Kammler to solve the problem of the V2. Von Braun had been under surveillance since October. A secret report stated that he and his colleague were said to have expressed regret at an engineer's house one evening in early March that they were not working on a spaceship and that they had felt the war was not going well. He ended up being arrested by the Nazi regime. But anyway, when the Soviet army was about 100 miles from, Peenemünde, in early 1945, von Braun assembled his planning staff and asked them to decide how and whom they should surrender to. Unwilling to go to the Soviets, von Braun and his staff decided to try and surrender to the Americans. Kammler had ordered the relocation of his team to central Germany. However, a conflicting order from an army chief ordered them to join the army and fight. Deciding that Kammler's order was their best bet to defect to the Americans, von Braun fabricated documents and transported 500 of his affiliates to the area around Mittelwerk, where they resumed their work and surrounding towns after the middle of February 1945. The US Army Counterintelligence Corps managed to unveil the location, and through lengthy interrogations of von Braun, they recovered 14 tons of V2 documents, and by May 1945, it was all part of, at that time, of the British occupation zone. Allied forces advanced deeper into Germany in April that year, and where is this now? Nearing the end of the war, the instruction came, SS troops, they were to gas all technical men concerned with rocket development. Upon hearing this, von Braun commandeered a train and fled with other technical men to a location in the mountains of South Germany. Von Braun and several members of the engineering team, including Dornberger, made it to Austria, and upon finding an American private of the US 44th Infantry Division, von Braun's brother and fellow rocket engineer Magnus approached the soldier on a bicycle, calling out in broken English, "My name is Magnus von Braun. My brother invented the V2. We want to surrender." After the surrender, Werner von Braun spoke to the press. He says, "I myself and everybody you see here decided to go west, and I think our decision was not one of expediency but of moral decision. We knew that we had created a new means of warfare, and the question as to what nation, to what victorious nation we are willing to entrust this brainchild of ours was a moral decision more than anything else. We wanted to see the world spared another conflict such as Germany had been put through, and we felt that only surrendering such a weapon to people who are guided by the Bible could such an assurance to the world be secured." Jesus. That's kind of mad, isn't it? Now, we're coming up the road here. We have a landing. We will come back to that, but that's Werner von Braun, and we'll learn more about him in this series, lads. Like, we'll learn a lot about the people behind it. But again, just to kind of circle back around, the V2, that's where it started. Karolov and von Braun, you had the two technical wizards, one on the American side, one on the Soviet side. Just very, very fascinating stuff. Very, very fascinating stuff. So we'll continue on. We're going to do a quick landing up the road here, and then we'll continue on because we're going to touch on Sputnik 1, and we have a few more things to do. Because once the projects got into play and the people were situated, as I said, the Russians were able to hit the ground running because, well, they had the operatives, they had the brawn, if you like, not to be mistaken with brawn, right? Not to mention the standard of living was much better there. Yeah. 14 tons of V2 documentation. two rides in your garbage truck. But isn't it fascinating? Like, I mean, I can't help it when I look at, those images from NASA, be it the Apollo missions or even like the space shuttle or even with Artemis. I'm kind of taken back thinking, wow, the imagination, How did they manage to do that? How did all this come to be? There's people sitting on Earth controlling a remote control car on Mars. What? I can't get the car to unlock from me button from inside in the house. There's just mad things. And it's you start looking back thinking, hey, why was that? Why was that a thing? It's absolutely nuts. And again, right, the aircraft we're using tonight, perfect example. This is a Soviet-era aircraft, is the Antonov AN-2. And the systems, or at least the methodology of how these systems work. All the main electrical components and everything you see here on the main dashboard, they all have their own interlinked system, meaning you got a switch, you want this valve, okay, that's that switch. Okay, you want this cluster of instruments, well, that's this switch. And that carried on to the later Antonov aircraft. I mean, you look at the AN-225 we have in the sim. You compare that then to, we say, the Western type of aircraft, one button did many things, many systems. Do you know? An RC car with a 20-minute signal delay. Yeah, Murphy, they're using a much bigger remote. The level of the genius flirts dangerously close to yours, right? There's people on Earth still controlling Voyager 1. Yeah, like, it's just, it's fascinating to me. And like, you know, the whole oh, Timmy, you're in the MI2. Nice. That's only a 2020 aircraft right now, unfortunately. But anyway, there is to be an airport, we hope, up here, lads. But you know what's gas? Like, here we are in the AN-2. These machines still fly to this day. They still fly. And they're an absolute behemoth of an aircraft. It was a Soviet mass-produced aircraft. NATO reporting name was called a Colt. There was 18,000 of these things built. 18,000, right? Manufactured through 1947 all the way up to 2001. And it first flew on the 31st of August, 1947. Crazy, crazy. And the designs, of course, I mean, they were still manufactured up to 2021, so they would have got a lot of, you know, modern refurbishments along the way. The airframe is pretty close to what it was back in the original, right? I mean, the same, like, and these were used for multiple application, transport, agriculture. We've seen these as crop dusters. A lot of them were built overseas under a license. Quite right. Supertie says PZL made a few of them in Poland. It also made in Ukraine. Just absolutely fascinating stuff. And a great looking airplane. And like, you know, we got a cabin in this thing as well. Like, these are just a great looking airplane. Hard, big, tough, you know, you can fly them with a hammer. Right? What does it need for fuel? A couple of bad words, and that's about it. Great machine. There's one, where did we see the AN-2? Was there one in the Aviodrome? There was one over in New Zealand at Wanaka, and I hopped into it, and I was just like, man. Oh, there's one in the Aviodrome. Of course there is. Yeah, at the end of the interview. Yeah. Like, it's insane. Like, the size of them, and just rock solid and durable, and it's great that we can fly this in the sim. And it is a great taste of seeing kind of the differences between, you know, aircraft design on either side of the pond. And we can see that to this day even with, like, a lot of the helicopters, right? I mean, like, this fan, who needs aircon? You don't need aircon. Bit of fan, blow a bit of air. You know, the Cessna design is, well, they'd have a fan somewhere at the back there and it'll just blow out through an air vent. You know? When would you be able to do a plane review? Wolfhound, just let me know, buddy. I'm more than happy to check out a plane. You're a fan of that, right? There was one in the Expendables too. Oh, was there? Yeah, there was talk of that, Prime. There's talk of bringing these aircraft back in because, well, they still fly. The parts are cheaper, and there's a lack of kind of new airframes with more modern aircraft, such as Boeing and so on. So yeah, makes total sense. Makes total sense. The Tu-22 literally ran on vodka. That's nuts. Have you tried Iris yet in Say Intentions? It's more responsive AI and better voices. Going to be an extra cost a month for however. Maybe you'll cover it on the news. Yeah, the boys, I'm going to look into it. So, Say Intentions are looking at different ways of enhancing, but they also want to give options for folks who just want a little bit more. So they're kind of looking at these additional technologies, right? And they say, well, look, oh, yeah, we can grab them, but they're expensive. So that's what they do. So rather than saying you now need it and they up the price, they make them now as an optional add-on for those who really want it. But yeah, I need to spend a bit of time in it with the Iris stuff, but it's way faster. And yeah, again, just very exciting things come from St. Intentions. Very, very exciting. So hopefully this goes well. I think there's a runway up here, lads. Jez, I hope then there is. So let's see what happens here now. Do we have oh, we have a little bit. Yes, comrade. Something interesting that you'll notice along our flight path today, look at the rail infrastructure, the rail networks for trains. It's fascinating stuff. Right. Are these actual... Is this a runway? Oh, it kind of is, look. Alright. Let's see, we're going to ferret out this one. We'll follow the lads in. Murph, are you going to be doing any on-stage stuff with St. Intentions this year? It'd be amazing, yeah. It'd be amazing. Murph, I heard they found signs of life on Uranus. Jesus. Heisenberg, that was like trying to trip me up so I'd step in the bullshit. Brilliant. Hang on, is that a runway up there? That's an actual airport up there, but it's not listed as such. I can only imagine the data here isn't great, you know? I'm Pierce, right? We're actually in Kazakhstan. It's nice. Go handy there now. We get the old mankinis out. Go handy now. I will say this. The AN-2, even in its current state, yes, it needs fixes, don't get me wrong. This thing is a beautiful aircraft to fly. To hand fly this, it's beautiful. Really, really nice. Now, we'll see about the landing here now in a second, right? Oh, it's your speed. It's actually a stall-capable airplane as well. Stall is in short takeoff and landing, right? Oh, Jemima, go hand. Oh, easy. Easy. Look at this, 50 knots. It's crazy. Easy. There's a touchdown, 58. And the brakes are working. Ah, brilliant! All right, first stop of the night. Nice. If you can't get restarted, it's stall capable, right? Kazakhs actually despise Borat. I imagine. Thank you, Steiny. It was a proud moment right now. All right, that's our first stop of the night. We continue on. We're not terribly far away from where we're going, and our story, we're going to get right up and make all of this kind of relevant where we are. Because we talk about now both countries having the brains, having the expertise, and they have some of the equipment. It then moved on to the testing phases, right? And during this 7-week series, the vast majority is going to be US based, right? Because there's just there's a lot more information. A lot of the buildings are still in use, right? There are, especially where we're going to Baikonur, there are abandoned buildings here, with friggin', you know, space shuttles still sitting in there, abandoned. Incredibly mad stuff, right? And it's just fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. So we'll get ourselves up and running here now to our next stop. And I kind of like that we are flying here. Like, there's not a whole lot in terms of scenery, like mountains or otherwise, but like, how often do you get to go flying this neck of the woods? You know what I mean? It's very, very interesting. Oh, check fuel left and right. Good call. Fuel. Oh yeah, look. Top her up there now, Betsy. Riot. Power coming in. Airspeed live. Easy. Easy. There's 60 knots. Oh, Jesus. There's 60 knots. Yep, see daisy. It's a beautiful plane. Is that someone in a blimp? No, it wasn't a blimp. It's not an issue, it flies decent. Yeah, the Islander, great machine, the Islander. Great machine. Alright, we continue on course. Ish, sorta. Easy now. Get a bit of mixture into this. Not mixture, you muppet. Trim, Murphy, trim. Jesus, that's terrible, isn't it? So, we continue. On the 4th of October 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1. It was the first artificial satellite. The polished metal sphere, 58 centimeters in diameter, orbited Earth every 96 minutes, transmitting a radio beep that anyone with a receiver could hear. Beep. Beep. Technically simple, but strategically profound. Sputnik proved that rockets could reach orbit and hinted that intercontinental missile delivery was now feasible. To put it bluntly, the Americans were shocked. At 184 pounds, Sputnik was larger than any US satellite in development. The United States perceived a missile gap leading to the Sputnik crisis. A surge in funding for science and engineering education, and the formal creation of NASA all followed. The satellite's success forced the United States to move from playing catch-up to aggressive competition. So this was an absolute mad thing. Sputnik, the Americans were like, hang on a second, that thing is above us right now and we don't know about it? That like, it scared the heebie-jeebies out of them, right? So, Sputnik, often referred to simply as Sputnik, launched into a elliptical low Earth orbit by the Soviet Union as part of the Soviet space program. It sent a radio signal back to Earth for 3 weeks before its 3 silver zinc batteries became depleted. Aerodynamic drag caused it to fall back into the atmosphere on the 4th of January in 1958. The satellite's success was unanticipated by the United States. The Americans called it the Sputnik crisis, and then it triggered the space race itself. The launch was the beginning of a new era of political, military, technological, and scientific developments. The word Sputnik is Russian for satellite when interpreted in an astronomical context. In other meanings are spouse or travelling companion. Right? That's what I mean by Sputnik. Tracking and studying Sputnik 1 from Earth provided scientists with valuable information. The density of the upper atmosphere could be deduced from its drag on the orbit, and also the propagation of its radio signals gave data about the ionosphere. Sputnik 1 was launched during the International Geophysical Year from the site number 15 at the 5th Tyratum range, now known as Baikonur Cosmodrome. The satellite travelled at a peak speed of about 8 kilometres. That's 18,000 miles per hour. Right? Jesus. Taking 96.2 minutes to complete each orbit. It transmitted on 20.005 and 40.002 megahertz, which were monitored by radio operators throughout the world. That's absolutely mad. If you've never seen it, or maybe you have, Sputnik, well, there it is. That's what it looked like. Last remaining piece of Sputnik 1, a metal arming key which prevented contact between the batteries. Isn't that mad, isn't it? The launch vehicle, the R-7 rocket, originally designed as an intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, the decision to build it was made by the Central Committee of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. The rocket was the most powerful in the world. It was designed with excess thrust since they were unsure how heavy the hydrogen bomb payload would be. The R-7, also known as the GRAU, later GURVU, the Russian abbreviation Chief Directorate of the Rocket Forces, designate AK-71. At the time, the R-7 was known to NATO sources as a T-3. And Murphy went missing. That's absolutely mad. Oh, I'll have to show you this. One of the first newsreels, look.
Today, a new moon is in the sky, a 23-inch metal sphere placed in orbit by a Russian rocket. Here, an artist's conception of how the feat was accomplished. A 3-stage rocket. Number 1, the booster in the class of an intercontinental missile. Its weight estimated at 50 tons. The smaller second stage took over at 5,000 miles an hour and carried on to the highest point reached. 500 miles up, the artificial moon is boosted to a speed counterbalancing the pull of gravity and released.
That's absolutely mad, isn't it? That's the sound, Gibbo, yeah. Can you tell us again the sound a beep makes? What an absolute Oh, Jesus. Way to make a Murphy look like a Muppet. Yeah, cheers, Gibbo. Yeah, cheers. Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Oh, brilliant. In October of 57, the Jodrell Bank Observatory 200-foot Lovell telescope became the only facility in West capable of tracking the carrier rocket of Sputnik. Ooh. That's mad. Right, we're kind of heading up this way. Follow the road and the river and the stuff. That's the sound that must be used when Mr. TPHI is telling a joke, right? Commander Boller says, I'm worried that putting every new tech update behind an extra paywall will eventually price people out, especially with more affordable alternatives. I want the best immersion, but at some point you have to wonder if the total monthly cost is still worth it. Well, my take on that is, Commander Balosh, it's an optional add-on for those who kind of want future tech now, if that makes sense. Like what they have at Iris, that'll eventually trickle down as kind of a new standard over the coming months and years, no doubt. But I think what Say Intentions are doing, you know, they clearly have demand from the customers to say, hey, can we do with this? Can we do with that? Yeah, of course we can, but like there's prices. So rather than Say Intentions, you know, looking at this technology and saying, right, we're now going to implement this across the board, now everyone has to pay, I think the way they're going about it is much better. It's an optional add-on more so than, okay, you need this. You know what I mean? Captain Finn, welcome in. The Limbics, hope you're well, buddy. How's the AN-2? Yeah, once they bring out the new version, I'll definitely give a run. Like, this is flying really well. It doesn't work in a cold and dark situation. You kind of have to just start the plane on the ground, you know? But it's good, man. It's good. Test Pilot, thank you very much indeed. 49 months. Cheers, buddy. But again, Commander Balosh, like, that old Iris thing, if you want to give it a shot for a month, you know, see, is it worth it? Is it something that's going to fundamentally change your experience by using Say Intentions? I think that's what a lot of people will figure out. It either will or maybe it won't. It's going to depend, I think, user to user. But I definitely think the way in which they're offering it, rather than just saying, okay, we're going with this because it's great and everyone has to pay for it, because they don't want to do that, you know? They just don't want to do that. So, yeah. So, where's this satellite? Ah, Jesus, Gibbo. Where can I find that channel? New motor. My new motor is in Sandyford. Look, I mean, who in the right mind would drive that thing? Where does the reg plate go? Do you know what I mean? Oh, we just got a raid by Kenko. Welcome in, my dude. Lads, happy Monday. Thank you very much indeed for the raid. I'm wearing a hat today, look. Ah, Jesus. Balding like a... Right. But, where did that photo go from, Steiny? Steiny, where'd you put the picture?
Allow myself to introduce...
Myself. It's in there somewhere, look. Jesus, I'm going the wrong way. We started a brand new Monday night series, From Earth to the Moon. It's very original. And you join us here in Kazakhstan. We've been learning about, well, where did the whole thing kind of start? V2 rockets, right? V2 rockets. And from there, you know, from America and then the Soviet Union, where it all came... How did they manage to get their people? Operation Paperclip was the American scheme to grab all of these scientists and whatnot out of Nazi Germany, Werner von Braun being one of them. And we've learned then that on the American side, where they had a lot of the brains behind the systems, the you know, the brains behind it really, and the Soviets getting much of the brawn behind it, you know. Kirog, thank you very much. Kirog, thank you for 12 months. Britain MCO, cheers buddy, it's good to see you, man. Thank you very much indeed for 26 months. And Kenko, thank you very, very much indeed for the raid. Really appreciate it, lads. You are most welcome in. We're flying here with the Antonov, the AN-2. I was half expecting some update 5 to be out for this, right? But it didn't. So now we have to fly a little bit of a broken plane, but it's not going too bad. You know, she's kind of working. But we are live on the Southeast Asian server. We also have Groupie working with, say, Intentions, meaning that we can all be chatting away to one another using our radios as well. And we're heading up here now to the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Of course, this is where Sputnik launched, but also Yuri Gagarin, amongst other things, out of Kazakhstan. So, very interesting stuff. Commander Balash, 100%. And, dude, that's the feedback they need to hear. You know, they may not be able to satisfy your concerns, but it's definitely the feedback they need to hear, because once they kind of know what the vast majority of the users want, it makes things that little bit easier for them, you know. Willow, how much? Thank you very much indeed. Britain all set up the new digs too. Ah, nice one, buddy. Jesus, that didn't take you long at all. Right, Sam Arm is here. Good evening. Hope you're well. And yeah, what an epic raid. Thank you very much indeed. Aaron is here. Jesus, Aaron, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Is it Aaron or Arnie? Or Aaron? Thank you very much indeed. A-A-R-N-E. It looks like Arnie. But yes. In the Bremen Bar. Oh, there it is there, look. It was ahead of Gibbo's one. So this is the Lovell... Look at this. Jesus. Now, is that any relation to Jim Lovell? No? The Jodrell Bank Observatory Lovell Telescope. And then Gibbo showed us this mad-looking thing. In Sandyford in Dublin. I don't know, lads. Would you drive one of those? They're very expensive. They look like your man out of... Muse, what was that movie you love? Where did the reg plate go? It sounds like something your man would say. Listen. Interstellar. It looks like your man out of Interstellar, you know. Samman says, all good this side. Hope all is well. It is, dude. It is. Great to see you, man. Land here. Yes, we are landing here, Kazaki. No, we're not landing here. No, we're not landing here. Looks like something you'd make out of a potato box on Christmas. Right? Bit of tin foil as well. Right, bit of tinfoil as well. Right, anyway, we continue. So, that was Sputnik, and it went beep, beep. Anyway, on the 12th of April, 1961, Soviet Air Force pilot Yuri Gagarin flew into the history books aboard Vostok 1. His spacecraft orbited Earth once at a speed of about 24,000 kilometers an hour. And the mission lasted 108 minutes. Gagarin did not control the spacecraft, however. The flight was fully automated, and he ejected at about 7 kilometers altitude to parachute him safely back to the Earth. The idea being is the vehicle that the Russians made that wasn't designed to bring in for a soft landing. Not at all. The achievement demonstrated that a human could actually survive launch, weightlessness, and re-entry. It was a tremendous propaganda victory for the USSR, and it signalled that the Soviets now had both the first satellite and the first human in space. Gagarin's smile and phrase, don't know how to pronounce it in Russian, but I'll give it a go, Piekali, let's go, became symbols of Soviet optimism. Let's go. See? Bloody communists again, right? Let's go. But anyway, fascinating stuff. And this again was huge for the Americans. They were like, what the actual, right? Because they just weren't expecting this. And it's like, they didn't exactly have the capability to be able to see all of these things, right? It was named after Bernard Lovell, the first director. Ah, grand. Thank you, Malky. 777, good to see you. So, let's have a look. Here is... oh, Jesus, now, hang on. Stabilise the airplane, Murphy, will you? For crying out loud. Is it out? Right. Yuri Gagarin, first man in space. Yuri Alexeyev Gagarin. There's the man of the hour, right? Hailing from the village of Klushino, Gagarin was a foundry man at a steel plant. He later joined the Soviet Air Force as a pilot and was stationed near the Norway-Soviet Union border. Before his selection for the Soviet space program, alongside 5 other cosmonauts, following his spaceflight, Gagarin became the deputy training director of Cosmonaut Training Center, which was later named after him. He was also elected as deputy of the Soviet Union in 1962, and then to the Soviet of Nationalities, the lower and upper chambers of the Supreme Soviet, respectively. Vostok 1 was Gagarin's only spaceflight, but he served as the backup crew to Soyuz 1, which ended in a fatal crash, killing his friend and fellow cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov. Fearful that a high-level national hero might be killed, Soviet officials banned Gagarin from participating in further space flights. After completing training at the Zhukovsky Air Force Engineering Academy in February 1968, he was allowed again to fly regular aircraft. However, Gagarin died 5 weeks later when a MiG-15 he was piloting with flight instructor Vladimir Segoyan crashed near the town of Kerchak. Aww. Had a crash in a MiG-15. There was all sorts of conspiracies around that as well. But there he is, the first man in space. Right? The first man in space. And his family home, that's him there as an air cadet. I was kind of, I won't say worrying, but it is kind of worrying. Gagarin going up there, there's the Vostok capsule, look. They didn't know if he would be okay. They had no idea. He was going up there to test to see if a human could actually physically endure spaceflight. Right? They thought it was going to be, you know, his brain wouldn't function. You had all this kind of stuff, right? So we have a little video here to show you again. Wikipedia is quite good for all this stuff.
The space pilot, whom the Russians have deified as the man of the century, arrives at the airport outside of Moscow for his first public appearance. Questions that have arisen in the West about the validity of his flight have no place here today, as the crowds go wild over the first man to conquer space. Major Gagarin's initial function is a long red-carpeted walk to the platform, where Khrushchev greets him. Gagarin puts party first by thanking the communists for the opportunity. Khrushchev interrupts with a Russian bear hug and kiss as Yuri's pictures are waved. There have been grumblings in Russia about the cost of the space program, but that is forgotten today as tens of thousands pour into Red Square to get a glimpse of their hero. He stands atop Lenin's tomb and receives their accolades.
Like, talk about a different time, right? Just a different time. Gagarin and Warsaw going through. Like, this guy was a hero. Like, a hero, right? And travelled around the world quite a bit, but again, it was this spurred such a response from the Americans. 1965, Gagarin at US Vice President Hubert Humphrey, French Prime Minister George Pompidou, and Gemini 4 astronauts Jim McDivitt and Ed White. That's mad. Oh, Empire Kicking, thank you so very much indeed for the raid. Good to see you, buddy. Welcome in, lads. Hope you had a great stream. Flipper Alloy, good afternoon. The capsule that killed Kamarov. Yeah. Friend of all says some countries sent up dogs or monkeys prior flights to have some confidence. Yeah.
Introduce myself.
Person alive, Gagarin and his wife Valentina at a concert in Moscow. Like the first man in space. Like, bloody hell. The aircraft in which he lost his life in, the MiG-15. As Neil deGrasse Tyson says, we need another space war to advance further into space. Yeah. Malky, yeah. Crazy. There's a Yuri Gagarin statue at the Royal Greenwich Observatory in London. Jeez, I didn't know that. You guys know that? In London. Oh, that's kind of cool, isn't it? I didn't know about that. A Russian 10 ruble coin commemorating the flight in 2001. Ah, that's class, isn't it? 50th anniversary stamp of Ukraine. So, what all of this did, as I said, it scared the crap out of the Americans. We're not too happy about this. The US responded swiftly. President Dwight Eisenhower signed the National Aeronautics and Space Act on the 29th of July 1958, thus creating NASA. The agency opened on the 1st of October 1958 by absorbing the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics and all its employees. And NASA's first manned program, Project Mercury, aimed to send a person into space, study technical and medical effects, and then bring them back alive. NASA selected 7 military test pilots known as the Mercury 7 in April 1959. Suborbital flights used Redstone rockets. Alan Shepard's Freedom 7 flight on the 5th of May 1961 reached an altitude of 116 miles and lasted for about 15 minutes. John Glenn's Friendship 7 mission on the 20th of February 1962 orbited Earth 3 times in just under 5 hours. These successes, however, came after the Soviets' achievements, and early US missions lagged behind. Now, we'll be learning a lot more about NASA, about the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo stuff later on. A lot of that stuff, right? But yeah, this is kind of where you get a lot of this information. So this is from NASA. This is public domain. The decision to go to the moon by President JFK on May 25th, 1961. The speech before Congress.
The dramatic achievements in space which occurred in recent weeks should have made clear to us all, as did the Sputnik in 1957, the impact of this adventure on the minds of men everywhere who are attempting to make a determination of which road they should take. Since early in my term, our efforts in space have been under review. With the advice of the Vice President, who is Chairman of the National Space Council, We have examined where we are strong and where we are not, where we may succeed and where we may not. Now it is time to take longer strides, time for a great new American enterprise, time for this nation to take a clearly leading role in space achievement, which in many ways may hold the key to our future on Earth. I believe we possess all the resources and talents necessary, but the facts of the matter are that we have never made the national decisions or marshaled the national resources required for such leadership. We have never specified long-range goals on an urgent time schedule or managed our resources and our time so as to ensure their fulfillment. I therefore ask the Congress, above and beyond the increases I have earlier requested for space activities, to provide the funds which are needed to meet the following national goals. First, I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space, and none will be so difficult or expensive to accomplish.
Absolutely just wow, right? Wow. Because when he made this speech, the advisory board prior to all of this, and you know, NASA was set up at this stage, they had, you know, think of like they sat around the room saying, can we actually do this? And they said, well, yes, we can do this. It's going to be bigger and more expensive than the friggin' Manhattan Project, but yeah, we can do it. We have to do it. And that's what transpired. So the Americans' response to all of this, it was massive. It was just huge. And as I say, during the series, we'll learn a lot more about NASA, about the technology, the equipment, the astronauts. What was it like to be an astronaut? What was the family life like? We're going to learn a lot of that stuff in upcoming episodes. Tonight is very much the origins, right? The origins. Yeah, I'm going to land here now. Don't worry, ducks. This is all about what started it all. From the German V2 rockets to Operation Paperclip to the early achievements of the Soviet Union with Sputnik and with the first man in space, Yuri Gagarin, and then with the American response, the Mercury 7. And it's just incredible. And it started out doing it with all slide rules and math on blackboards. Yeah. Crazy. And like, there's a number of incredible movies. I forget the name of it. It's quite recent. Jesus. It covers the story of a group of women who were working at NASA on their computers prior to being computers, right? And they managed to work this supercomputer. Hidden Figures, that's the one. That's a great movie. And it tells just another side of the complexities of what the American social and political system was facing during these times, considering the challenges that were there and the god-awful mess that was going on, how they managed to still make things work. Just absolutely fascinating stuff, you know? And like, when you think about human achievement, doesn't matter what side we consider, be it that on the Soviet side or on the American side or even the German side, the technological advancements over that period of time, you're talking, 25 years? Like, absolutely insane, considering, 40 years prior, to the Apollo missions, you had the first crossing of a fixed-wing aircraft across the Atlantic Ocean. And we covered that with the Brummfliege yesterday, but like the Spirit of St. Louis in 1927, the Bremen in 1928, when you consider just the shift in advancement, and aviation...
Dreamy, sleepy, nighty, snoozy, snooze.
Stu, your timing is alarming. Aviation throughout all of it is so relevant. Do you know? It's so important. It's intertwined, aviation. and spaceflight and that technology, and it's kind of incredible. I mean, we'll see this across all the different aircraft we're going to be flying, but even if you look at your commercial aircraft, your general aviation, and then you get into kind of like the experimental aircraft, it's very similar. If you're into like motorsport, you look at Formula 1, right? You can see the technology from Formula 1 moving into other racing platforms. You also see it coming down into production cars. Things like, you know, electric cars that we see now. This, you know, this brake regeneration stuff that we can see now. Cars, kinetic energy, when under braking, recharges batteries. I mean, it wasn't invented necessarily in Formula 1, but that's where the thing became, well, you can actually do this now. You know what I mean? Jay Winokur, good to see you. It's amazing what happens when they get out the way and let scientists work. Yeah. Like, it's fascinating to see what happens. And I suppose for a lot of this, you know, from our geography, we don't necessarily get to see a lot of the history and information and what it must have been like on the Soviet side. Cosmonauts. Everything was that little bit different. It was that kind of different shade of colour. It's a bit of red in there, but like, you see how open the Americans were in terms of, you know, they had NASA. It was a civilian company. They got it, like, at its absolute peak, NASA had 400,000 people working for NASA. 400,000 people working for NASA during its peak. On the Soviet side, it was much more quiet, secretive. No doubt they had like massive resources, but it was the American side that just ingenuity of, let's work on the systems, let's work on getting this to work with this, and then that could work with that, and so on and so forth. And like, we'll learn in the coming weeks where you had you know, Sputnik launch, a rocket which then propelled its payload as in a different stage, a 3-stage or a 2-stage or even a 1-stage rocket. Werner von Braun's designs, you know, in what he was thinking of, okay, they want to go to the moon. Well, we're going to launch multiple rockets into space to achieve orbit, and we're actually going to build the spacecraft in outer space. That was his plan. That's what needed to happen in his mind. How else are you going to propel this sort of a payload into space? And that's where we get the Saturn V. And, you know, there's space centers in the United States I wasn't aware about. I mean, yeah, we knew, you know, out at the Cape, right? We knew Kennedy. We know about the Johnson Space Center in Houston, right? I was aware of these. But then you've Marshall, and what's the other one? STEMI. Like, there's other ones in there as well. And how important they were to the entirety of the space race in terms of, well, this is where they tested engines. This is where they tested gyroscopic navigation. This is where they tested astronauts in desert-like conditions to go out and see, can they physically conduct scientific experiments on the surface of the moon by putting them out in, like, you know, Nevada. It's absolutely incredible. And then we look at the different vehicles in terms of, yes, you have the command module, then you have the lunar module, right? Spacewalk had to become a thing. Can we actually get out? Can we walk around? Can we do stuff? Can we operate in space? It was all new. It was like, just, we haven't done this before, well, let's try it. And then over that decade, from 1959 to 1969, I mean, there was a lot of hardship along the way. There was catastrophe, tragedy, but there was also triumph on both sides. And even the Soviet side, you know, after the first man in space, their ultimate objective was the moon, right? They knew that. And we knew about the space station. They were working on that. Just fascinating stuff. And then you have the global support, as you're mentioning there, Pasadena, Vandenberg, but also Parkes out in Australia when it came to radio signals, all the different telescopes around the world where equipment and materials were sourced from for both sides. Fascinating. Right, anyway, where we are, we're at a place called Baikonur, and what we're going to do now, from our location, we're now going to fly up to the actual Cosmodrome, the actual location where they launched Sputnik and Yuri Gagarin. Now, unfortunately, the default sim doesn't have much up here. It has satellite coverage, but it doesn't have anything like 3D models or whatnot. There is, however, thankfully, a mod over in flightsim.to. It's in the description. You can grab it, and he managed to put in the 3D model of the launch pad. But that's where we're heading up now. So for the last section of this stream, we're going to be flying up. It's about 20 miles up the road from here, and that's going to bring us over some power stations. It's going to bring us over to some test sites for other missiles, and also the launch pad of where these missiles took off from. And even like some of NASA's missions later on in life, they were launched from out here. You know, like nuts. Shuttle resupply missions, space, or the ISS. There was resupply missions launched from these facilities. So it's fascinating to me just to kind of, when you kind of join all these dots together to see, how do they actually manage this? Now, up the hill here a little bit. So what we had. We now had the establishment of NASA, and then Kennedy came out with that speech, and that led then to Project Mercury, and then after the Mercury 7, you had Gemini. That was the bridge between Mercury and Apollo. The purpose was to develop techniques necessary for lunar missions. Gemini flew two astronaut capsules, practicing spacewalks, extravehicular activity, rendezvous, docking, and then long-duration flights. Because the American concept of all of this, launched a 3-stage rocket. All right. Then you had to do rendezvous and docking, the landing, all the different stages had to be tested, right? Missions like Gemini 7, 14 days, tested human endurance. Gemini 6A and 7 performed the world's first orbital rendezvous, and Gemini 4 included the first American spacewalk by Ed White. The experiences proved that astronauts could live and work in space for over a week. They could maneuver spacecraft to link up with targets and exit their vehicle safely. And without the lessons made from Gemini, Apollo rendezvous between the command module and the lunar module would have been impossible. So where we're flying now, and you can actually see default terrain, there's suddenly a massive increase in power, electricity, and you can see those. There's power lines all over the place here, power stations all over the place here. Absolutely nuts. So by the mid-1960s, the momentum of Mercury and Gemini programs and that of Kennedy's speech, it led us to Project Apollo. NASA began designing the gigantic Saturn V rocket, a 3-stage heavy-lift vehicle capable of sending more than 43 tons to the moon. Developed at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center under Von Braun, the Saturn V stood 111 meters tall. It weighed 2.8 million kilograms and produced 34.5 million newtons of thrust. Uncrewed test flights, Apollo 4 in 1967, proved the rocket's power. Training intensified with astronauts learning spacecraft systems and simulations. The Soviet Union, meanwhile, worked on its own heavy-lift N-1 rocket, but faced repeated failures. Both nations pushed their limits. The world awaited a climax, and the first human landing on the moon, while setting the stage for Apollo 11. And then you have all of the Apollo programs, which is just... Keen is loving me hat. Brilliant. Cheers, Keen. Good to see you, bud. During our visit to Florida, we went to the Kennedy Space Center complex. I hope to find the photo where we're standing below a massive engine of the Saturn V. Oh, wow, Roy. You look 10 years younger with the baseball cap. Thanks very much. It's gas, right? Because, I had the privilege to go to Houston, out to the Space Center, and we walked into Mission Control, we got all the tour. It was absolutely incredible. And I have photos of that here somewhere. Where have I got them photos? Hang on. Keen Lafford, I'm a man of many hats myself. Now, where might I have these lads? What? Backups? iPhone? Oh, we could be lucky. We could be lucky. Let's have a look. Where do I have these photos? I remember I put a lot of them up in the Bremen bar. We'll find them here now in a moment. Jesus, where have I got those? Up this way, Murph. I'll dig them out again when we're covering NASA in more detail, right? But like that day, getting to visit, like we stood in Mission Control. We stood. It's just incredible. They also have a Saturn V at the Marshall Space Center in Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah. Like that's going to be where we visit during this. You know. Where's this now? Do. Gibbo and Muse, thanks for that, lads. Yeah, I'd say that was that looked dodge. Look dodge. But anyway, the Boise, take it fierce handy, buddy. Thanks so much for joining us. Muse and Gibbo, thanks for that, lads. I'd love to hear a Starship take off. The sound would be next level. To see a rocket launch? Oh, dude. That is on my bucket list. Like, I want to go to Florida. I want to go to the Kennedy Space Center. Like, I want to do that in my life. And if you can tie it in with a rocket launch, like, what a way to go. What a way to go. Florida is definitely on the bucket list of places to go. There's lots I want to do. I want to see the Everglades. I want to drive out to Key West or fly out to Key West. That'd be better. And then go up to NASA. No doubt the Miss would like to go down to Disneyland and all that jazz as well. So yeah, it's that was so awesome. Like, I remember we drove down. We went out by a place called Kima Boardwalk down in Houston, and we drove through the housing estates where, you know, where the astronauts used to live in the 60s and 70s. Incredible. Space Center isn't too far from Disney. Yeah, like I'd definitely love to see it. Would love to hear the SLS launch. The thing was powerful and noisy. Yeah. Don't want to be a show off, but we visited all you mentioned. Thanks, lads. Our team of moderators are working hard behind the scenes to make me look good. So we appreciate them. Love to our moderators, lads, as we do a bit of flyage here. Actually, I haven't done this in a while. Will these even work? Yeah, that works. Does this work? Yeah, they all work. Great bunch of lads. Right, lads, as we fly over some interesting terrain, we'll play some music, and can we get some pints of Guinness emotes into the chat there for our team of moderators? We have Gibbo, Muse, and Old Veteran. Week in, week out, they put up with my nonsense just to keep us all in a safe environment. So cheers to them. A great bunch of lads. A great bunch of lads. Right, so where we're flying over now, this is one of the many power stations that provides power to the whole place. Right? It's a hell of a bucket list, I'm telling you now. I was wondering when Gibbo was joining you again during the live stream. Every time he comes on, well, to be fair, he's going to be nice now. He has to be nice. I'm wearing all the nice things, you know. Yanni Vision, good to see you, bud. Mugen, have a great day, bud. Thanks so much for coming in. So, like, just to give you an idea, again, we're kind of missing, like, 3D objects and whatnot. But you can still get an idea from the satellite terrain here. These are all power stations. Railway networks coming in as well. Absolutely nuts. So we're going to circle here from our main kind of power stations coming in, which we can see, look. And the railway. Not much in terms of accommodation blocks, although there is a little. And then we're going to come over this side, and this is where the this is where the launch pad is. We're going to fly over the launch pad. Now this is custom scenery available over on flightsim.to. Shout out to the creator for bringing this into the world of flight sim for us. But it's kind of mad, isn't it? It's kind of mad. Now, I need to find the song here. Jesus Murphy, be doing well here. Easy. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Right, check it out, lads. Coming up on the launch pad, we're Sputnik, and then later Vostok 1 bringing Yuri Gagarin. Vostok 1, yeah, that's the one. History was made here so many years ago. Isn't that mad? Absolutely incredible. Something else, right? No, not landing here. We continue on. Man alive, like, just look at the blast pit. It's absolutely massive. Huge! Absolutely massive. The Buran hangar is miles away. Sunjammer, is that the one that they have the, oh, whatchamacallit, they have the Soviet space shuttles? Is that the one? I think it is. That's the shuttle, yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? That's the Buran, yeah. Like, just for a moment, consider where we are in the world, and like in the middle of nowhere in Kazakhstan. I'm like, when you see the infrastructure surrounding these sites, I mean, they're missile test sites and launch pads, Cosmodrome stuff. We're now going to head up to another test field where they would have launched smaller rockets. It's just up the road here. It'd be great to get like, it'd be great to get a lot more kind of detail here, wouldn't it? Like, that'd be just like. Because, I mean, there's education to be learned, do you know what I mean? But to be able to see this, to be able to explore this in the sim, isn't it deadly? Did anyone else use the pylons like the Red Bull Air Races? Come on, Stu! Brilliant. Yeah, the Buran, another great invention to the west, spied and produced by the east, wasn't it? Yeah. Had to pop in for the Super Flat 7-Up. Come on home, Wrecker. Yeah, Nighthawk put it in the Bremen Bar, some scenery enhancements for the area. So massive thanks to Nighthawk for that as well. So we continue on. There's buildings, there's fuel lines. I mean, when you're looking down on the satellite stuff, you're thinking, wait, hang on, what's here? You can see there's fuel lines, there's rail infrastructure, there's power lines. And there's all various different sites. You can only imagine what this place would have been like back in the 1950s. Mad, right? It was amazing how much Soviet espionage going on in the 70s in Southern California with all the aeronautical companies. Kept the FBI very busy, I can imagine. But like, it's mad. Like, even where we're flying around now, you know, looking at the satellite, looking at the images, it's crazy. There's silos down there for sure. There's antennas. That looks like another launch pad because, well, you can see the shadows baked into the scenery. So from here, we continue on. It's going to be a hard left. And we're going to head over to waypoint 13, as we call it, which is another testing site. But it is just it's just incredible. Space exploration is one of those rare occurrences, especially in this day and age, where we talk about humanity in the we, as in we went to the moon, we sent rovers. It's something we need to protect. I agree, Keen. There's no, well, today at least, but like, there's no real political boundary. Like, we know India and China have both started space exploration. We know they want to go to the moon, right? The Soviets, you hear me. Russia, don't know where it is on their list of things to do. Probably not so much. It is incredible that we're seeing NASA involved again. And Artemis, I mean, the whole idea about Artemis, this is the Artemis project that we've seen with Artemis 2. This is laying the groundwork for the mission to Mars. I mean, that's what this is. This is the using the latest and greatest technology. This is the foundation of what the Mars missions are going to look like. And what's kind of interesting as well, when you consider, you know, when Artemis was launching, they had to delay, the issues with the fuel and all this kind of stuff. Well, it's because that information put out by, or that information from NASA back in the day, a lot of it was controlling. Oh, Jesus, good man. This is from Steiny. Look at that. John Glenn. Like, isn't it mad when you look at the equipment used? Look. Sure to be grand. Super Ty, what have you been watching The Expanse? Steiny, many thanks for the photos, bud. But like political boundaries, like I don't know where I read it, but I was trying to figure out about Mr. TPHI. Good to see you. I was trying to figure out what the look in real life on Discord. Oh, come on, Kazaki. Oh, Kazaki, look at the photos. Look at the photos. Awesome. Is that in Alabama? Look at that. Ah, Muse, come on yourself. That was some expo. Like, lads, isn't it frightening? Frightening. Oh, Kazaki, that's awesome, man. We'll be flying up there as part of this series. But, like, Mrs. Gibbo's work, we're sending another satellite to orbit just today, but the launch got cancelled within a minute. No way! It's mad, isn't it? Like, when you see, like, telecommunications, internet, it's more than just security now. Like, I mean, there's hundreds of satellites. There's probably thousands of satellites up there. That's mad, Gibbo. It's scary that we don't really know how to make those engines now. Yep. Like, I can't remember where I was reading up on it, but like, it was a documentary, I think, but they were talking about like the delays to, you know, NASA missions and funding and all this sort of stuff, right? And they said, yes, the biggest challenge NASA have had over the decades is different administrations changing the goalposts or moving the goalposts. For example, you know, a president will come in and say, yeah, we want to focus everything on Mars. Okay. Then another administration comes in and say, yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're going to focus efforts on marine exploration or weather. And then another administration comes in and saying, well, you know, we want to study more on satellite and lunar capabilities. All right. And then another administration comes in and they change it up all again. And what I read was that from President Trump, when he got in, he either adopted the same goal as Obama in terms of we're working towards Mars, and he didn't change it. And when Trump went out and Biden went in, he was preoccupied. He didn't change it. And then Trump got back in. NASA were saying this is probably the most coherent period they've ever had working on the same objective. And it's only when you kind of realize that you kind of think, well, I mean, yeah, it makes sense, right? Administrations weren't changing the objectives for them, which meant that they can just get on with it. And we'll learn a lot more about SpaceX and what that brought into the fray, and of course with NASA and what they're doing as well. As I was saying, the rule book, if you like, that NASA put out in the 60s, you can only use or you can only purchase supplies from these government suppliers. That was all wrapped up early days, right? And that went into the shuttle program as well. So when people were asking the question, like, why are NASA still using this 1960s tech for rocket fuel and propulsion and all this kind of stuff? Well, there was a reason for it. It's capitalism at its best, but they were definitely keeping it, right? Rockets, you see. You see, this is what happens in the Bremen Power, right? Come on, Gibbo. Steiny with rock. Oh, Jesus, look at that. There's Mr. TPHI. Oh, beautiful pictures. Look at the scale of it beside a Cessna 172. These are a big, big airplane. From Murph saying there's probably thousands of satellites in space. He's not wrong. What's this now? Stuff in space. Look at this. Ah, no. Really? Wait now! Really? Are these all satellites? Hang on now. How many? Look, there's absolutely shag all up. Look, there's nothing over Leitrim. Nothing. See? Even satellites aren't impressed. Nothing over Leitrim. We've seen it here, lads. It's proof. There's nothing orbiting Leitrim. That's mad. And look how far out they go, for crying out loud. That is absolutely nuts. Jesus, we'd make a fortune with all the metal in space. We can sell it. I'll share this website with you, lads. This is from the Limbics. Stuff in Space, it's called. That's pretty cool, right? It's gone into the chat there now. Where are we headed now? Oh, Jesus. Oh, no! Don't mind me. I just circled around. You can filter it to different events and different launches. Steiny will drive the garbage truck up there. Yeah. It's accurate. And go look at the altitude. It's nuts! No wonder they've no phone signal. Yeah, isn't it nuts? Debris, one of them being a big wrench. That's absolutely class looking, isn't it? Just give me the F1 engine. Yeah. There was a TV show about a homemade spaceship that went into orbit to salvage space junk. No way. What's the price of RAM used in space? Yeah, right? Another link in the bar. Check this out. See a satellite tonight. Don't tell us.
Plane. It's the pilot.
I know. Click to view looking at my location. Allow your location. Go on. Enter your street. Oh, Jesus. Look at that. That's where I am. That's nuts. I'll give you this as well in the chat to have a look at it. Lads, we'll have to try the Kerbal Space Program. I mean, think about it.
Yeah. We're going the wrong way.
We are going the wrong way. Sorry, 777. We'll turn it around there. We'll have to try the Kerbal Space Program. This is going to be the most painful thing you will ever have to witness in your life, though. Because, you know, it's me, you know. Haven't a bull's notion. I remember in Houston, we sat down and we were chatting to Captain Arash. Now, there's a man who knows the space stuff. And just mesmerized by, like, how do you know this? Like, really? Have you not heard of an invention called a PlayStation or an Xbox? I mean, how do you know this stuff? Where did you get time to learn this stuff? It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Right. Really, really cool. I recommend practicing Kerbal Space Program first. Actually, we'll just horse ourselves into with the Limbics. So you know how we do things around here, you know. Lots of dark nights in Canada. Well, true. Right, so we're going to fly over this test site, and then our full stop runway is just over to our right-hand side. The Astronaut Farmer with Billy Bob Thornton, good movie. Ah. But it's mad, like the whole sci-fi thing as well, and, you know, where we see, like, you know, Star Trek and all this, but, like, movies like The Martian and Interstellar, I suppose, Apollo 13, Apollo 11, there was two of them, right? They did a movie for TV, Apollo 11, back in, like, I don't know, years ago. It was actually quite good. One of my favourite TV series, and it's not the easiest to get into. Tom Hanks did it, and it's called From the Earth to the Moon. And it's only when I realised I better change the old gadget, right? Earth to the Moon. But Tom Hanks directed it, and it was like a HBO special. It was very good. Murph going into Kerbal Blind would be absolute hilarity. I don't think it'd be hilarity. It'd be like watching The Office. Look at this, look. This is another launch facility. You can see there's silos here. Right? I don't know if they're like accommodation blocks or barracks or whatnot. Here's a huge one, look. There's actually a rocket. That's a rocket right there, look. Huh? So it's another launch facility. Isn't it mad, lads? Why did I know Mrs. GPH? Listen! Why did I know that was going to be a thing? Brilliant. It was an amazing series, wasn't it, Scott? Wasn't it? Kerbal Space Program. I'll have to pick it up. I don't think it'd be streamable though. It'd be like the most painful thing you'll watch, and like seriously, like I like to come across that I'm some sort of like intelligent and I know stuff. That'll expose all my weaknesses. Why do all our rockets blow up? Yeah. Are these launch facilities still used today? Some of them are, keen, some of them aren't. And about 120 miles northwest of us, there's all sorts of other launch facilities. As in, like, they have friggin', what's the word I'm looking for? They have blast rings around them to protect them. You know. If you do Kerbal Space Program and kill Jeb, we're going to have words. Who's Jeb? Can't remember if I have a series on disc. I have it on a hard drive, Scott, so I can, you know, we can connect it over to you. I can drive it over to you. You'll find out. Don't get Kerbal Space Program 2. Get the first one. It's much better. Heisenberg. I heard something like that, yeah. I remember seeing trailers for Kerbal Space Program 2. I was like, Jesus, that looks good. And then they stopped. The best thing to do would be to work through the campaign mode. It gives instructions and baby steps. Well, I mean, we could, right? But we could also wing it, and I've every faith and confidence in your capabilities. I reckon collectively, through me, we would make something absolutely brilliant and go to the moon. Not because it is easy, but because we will cheat. Pilot Fox, thank you very much indeed. Second one was horribly optimized and it wasn't moddable. Oh, really? Matt says, I think it'd be quite fun, even if it's just one stream. The communities kind of overlap slightly. No, I think they do. I think, like, if we have an interest in aviation, and I think by a good extension, that'll usually go into things like racing, motorsport. It also goes into like train simulation, trucking, but it also goes into kind of space exploration and engineering and, you know what I mean? Last time I tried to do my first orbit, I ended up orbiting the sun, as you do. Did you go at night time? Fireflies go to the moon, coming to a cinema near you this August, right? First Irishman to the moon, right? The second one was your biggest gaming letdown and regret. Oh, no way, Chalks. Wasn't that bad? I've never played them. I've seen them. I've never played them. I remember, again, Captain Arash, I watched him playing it one night and I was like, how does he know these things? Like, it's the sky, the atmosphere, and space. What are all these layers he's talking about? What is all this, you know? Artemis 2 is amazing for Kerbal Space Program. The amount of streamers playing it was awesome. Oh, no way. Kerbals are the species you play as. They're frogs. Jebediah, Jeb, is the main little green frog you start with. And he's like the Buzz Aldrin of the game. All right, okay. Yeah, the space program can be streamed, buddy. And it's a lot of fun. Ooh, AJ, nice. Super Ty, yeah, I've seen his channel. It's actually quite hard to crash into the moon because of the Delta V. See, you lads know the crack already. I haven't a shagging clue. Brilliant. But anyway, let us ease our way in here for a full stop. But I do hope you're enjoying this brand new series, lads. It's going to run for 7 weeks, each Monday night. And I'll let you know what we're doing next week here now in a moment. Easy now. Easy now. And I will look into Kerbal. I think this is something I'm definitely going to try it. Kenko managed to get it to Mars. What? Did he? Should the Irish invented space exploration? Of course. Should the Irish invented space? Right. Oh, Jesus, Kenko did it as well. Oh, hang on. There could be a challenge in this. Easy.
Dreamy, sleepy, nighty, snoozy, snooze.
Easy. Come on, 777. Easy. Oh, Jays. Easy. Easy. And 191 feet a minute will take it. Flaps in. This is the default plane. It is, Briggsy. It was bought by 2K Gaming after being developed by a team that didn't know what they were doing. 2K got rid of anyone who knew what they were doing. Oh, really? Oh, Jesus. 2K used to be great back in the day, didn't they? Wasn't there a follow-up called Kitten Space Agency? I've no idea. I'll look into it, lads. It could be something that we do on Discord maybe, or we'll do a stream someday. We'll spend a few hours at it. I think we'll have fun, but I think it's something that, you know, they talk about backseat driving. This is like, you know, just take the front seat out and we'll just drive it from the back of the... Because, like, I won't have a clue what I'm doing at all. You know, the pointy bit goes that way. The fiery bit goes that way. And that's about it. Do you know? This is the destination airport. Yes, indeed. This is our full stop. Timing is right on the money. And it'll be business as usual. It'll be interesting. And there's another thing as well, like with Flying Fries, Lord Freet, 2 aircraft. One, of course, being the shuttle carrier, which is that's a freeware add-on. The other one then. We could literally go to space, right? And it's the Quasar is based on science. It's not based on, oh, this is pretty, make it like there's science involved in it. So we'll have to give those a blast as well. Funny enough, orbital mechanics works best if you can get the hang of the numbers. Oh, really? He did the Bremen flight in 1 hour and 12 minutes. No way, did he? Ah, Jesus. Yeah. Oh, Jesus, we can't be having that, lads. No. Right, so next week, where is this now? Next week, sports fans, we are... Why did that come up like that now? Easy now. Next week, friends, part 2 is going to see us fly in a 737-600 aircraft for Janet Airlines. We're going to be flying in Nevada, we're going to be flying into Las Vegas, and then up to, well, that place. And the reason of what we're doing next week, we're going to focus on training and testing. Training and testing, specifically when it came to astronaut training, and also the testing of, the different forces and effects and all this kind of stuff on the astronauts themselves. We're going to have a proper look at the effects on kind of the human element behind all of this. After that, then, it's going to be going to Mississippi and Alabama, where we have a look at the engineering, including that of the Marshall Space and Flight Center. Part 4 is the global support. That's where we're going to travel to Australia. We're going to ramble out past Sydney out to the Parkes Observatory, and we'll learn all about the global support of telecommunications, satellite and all this when it came to the Apollo mission. Part 5, we focus specifically on Apollo, and we're going to be basing that one in Houston. We'll be flying, might go New Orleans into Houston. We're going to be flying in the T-38. Again, it's an aircraft that NASA astronauts practice on, but we're going to look a lot at mission control. We'll learn a lot about Gene Kranz. We'll learn a lot about the other flight directors, and also just how the ground support made all of this happen. In particular, and we'll look at Apollo 1, right? Apollo 4, Apollo 8 with Jim Lovell getting around the moon. Apollo 11, of course. We'll also have a look at Apollo 13. And we'll be looking then at the final mission, which was Apollo 17. And we'll learn a bit about all of those. Part 6, we're off to Europe because the space shuttle carrier, Boeing 747-100, carried the space shuttle to Europe. The idea being they want to raise funds, they wanted to make it kind of very public. She flew to Cologne, and then after Cologne, it flew to the Paris Air Show back in 1986, I think. And we're going to do a recreation of that flight. Part 7, we return to the United States, and we focus then on flying probably out of Opa-locka in Miami up to the Kennedy Space Center up in Florida. And from there, we have an add-on already in the sim. We're going to be launching some rockets. We're going to learn about the end of the Apollo missions, the end of the space shuttle, and we're going to be looking at Artemis, Artemis 2, and the upcoming Artemis 3 missions. And that's kind of how we round the whole thing together. So, yeah, that's all still to come. But lads, if you're, as I said, if you're interested in this, with NASA and the space race and Kerbal Space Program, well, let us know. We'll try and get a bit of stuff done. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm very interested in it. It's cool, and like when you can mix this with flight simming. I mean, where would you get it? We are all in whatever locations we're in throughout the world. We're all here together, and we're able to experience and explore this together. So I love that. But that's to me, that is the absolute power of using Microsoft Flight Sim. It is that collectiveness and inclusion. There's nothing else like it. It's incredible, But massive thanks to everyone for joining us here tonight, for all the support, all the raids, massive raids we got from Kenko and from Empire as well. Thank you very, very much indeed. Shout out to our mods team, to Gibbo, to Muse, and to Scott for looking after us there. They were working away in the background. I saw them, and they didn't slag me too much. So a massive thanks. We're back to you tomorrow night for some trucking. We're going to do some trucking tomorrow night. It's all down to the cool hat, Gibbo. Yeah. It's a lovely hat, isn't it? Look, they're gorgeous. You can get these over on flightsimtees.com. You too could look like me, a man with ears and a hat. So yeah, check them out. Tomorrow we're going to do some driving in American Truck Sim. Wednesday we have the news. We have a double stream on Thursday. And we have a group flight flying the Mosquito coming up this Friday night in the UK. So it's a busy week. And between all of that, well, you'll catch us over on Discord, ! Discord. So, well, so much for selling the hat. Make it look like Murph. That's it, right. Or you too could get a hat so you don't look like Murph. You'd look better. Yes. Right, lads. Part 1, Origins, complete of our brand new Monday night series. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much indeed for sticking with us, and we'll see you tomorrow at 1900 Zulu, and if not, we'll catch you over in Discord. So until then, have a lovely evening. See you on the next one. Don't panic. Just hope for the best, Murphy. Oh Jesus, don't end in all fear and terrible. Yep. Oh.
Bank angle. Up.
Shh. B, don't be that curious. It's not. No. Oh. Did you see what happened to Kane? He just bounced off it. Please, somebody clip just that. Kane Lafford flew into the side at 100 knots. He just literally bounced off it and ended up over here. Someone has to clip that, lads. Kane Lafford came straight in. It feels cumbersome. It behaves differently. And there's a lot of depth to it. It's a cracker. It's a masterpiece. Oh, I never did the thing, look. Fancy pedals. Uh-oh.
No. This is... Listen. It's a hurricane. It's a hurricane. Power off. Bit of right rudder. Bleed that speed. Oh, look at that! I gotta brake! Brake now! Brake! Wait, where's your button? Here you are.
It's a thing!
Oh! In a hurricane!
He put it onto easy mode!
Thank you very much.
Did you see what happened to